But it's, again, it just tells the story of it's the evil and the ugliness of people's hearts these days is everywhere.
This is Franky Rose's Think Tank. Here's your host, Franky Rose.
Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to the Think Tank. Let's see here. Okay. So we are on Verdict Watch, and there's a few things going on in the background. So I thought maybe what we'll do is we'll go through the different questions as they come up. So let's start right here. If it gets to be very, very drawn out after a while, we won't bother. I'll just go back and wait for a verdict. But I'm kind of hoping that we can have this wrapped up in the morning. They're asking some pretty interesting things, as we will see. I just decided kind of last minute I wanted to do this. There was, let's see here. They're not doing a lot there, are they? Oh. There we are.
Another copy. I assume there was no objection from the state.
No,
Okay, none from the defense. Mr. Bozarth was here in the room, so I just wanted to put that on the record that you didn't have any objection. You guys weren't here, and I just wanted them to have it. So
yes,
okay.
They should have you.
Okay.
Hola, hola, good morning.
All right, then, well, where's Mr. Welty?
He's gonna be a few minutes early.
He is, can we go ahead?
Bienvenue.
Tell me when you have it queued up.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Let's get that ready to go.
That was brief. I know we've got more coming up here as well, so we'll watch that. It's this next one that's got me a little bit curious. I think it's the next one. I'll have a little bit. Come on. What'd you guys think of that car chase last night? Oh my God, what a great way to end the day. No one was hurt, and it was like, what are people thinking?
All right, go ahead, Ms. Hodder. Oh, wait, hold on. Somebody missing a transcript? Okay. Okay, tell me when you're ready. Bottom of page 9 is what I was told. Okay. All right, so go ahead.
So earlier,
So this is the newest that they wanted to see.
We are from DeKalb County, Georgia Police Department. Did you ever live in Georgia?
I did a different one.
Okay. Your heart just started racing a little bit. Where in Georgia did you live?
Atlanta.
Nowhere in Atlanta.
Interesting. This is what they wanted to see. Hey, Andy. Good morning, friend.
Well, I did have a child. He hasn't been with me little. But I moved out now to just me.
Okay. How old was your kid?
So this is what they've asked to see just a few minutes ago. So I find it interesting that they are wanting to see her interview.
Did you go to like, Department of Children and Families with a family member?
No, I didn't have a family member. I was in a homeless shelter for a while. And, a lady that I met let me stay with her, and I wasn't able to take care of him. And so she said that she would take care of him until I was able to get myself together and be able to take care of him.
So when's the last time you heard from him?
Had to be maybe a year or so after I left from Georgia. I went back to Charlotte to try and get a job, and it was about a year after that.
What's his name?
Well,
No, was it?
almost
So in between, what I'll do is I'll show closing arguments again.
something wrong with her.
Did you ever, try to find him?
I didn't talk to her after that.
Who's his dad?
His dad never been in his life.
Okay. Have you talked to his dad at all?
I have no idea where he could be or anything. Actually, never really.
Remember his name?
His name was William Austin.
Okay. So, do you remember what area in Decatur you lived in?
I do not.
Okay.
So very
Was
long.
apartment complex a house?
I never didn't actually have my own place there. I was mostly in the shelter.
Sure, so I'm gonna be real with you. I went through a timeline of where you live now, all the way back.
Okay.
We got
No remorse
all the
at all.
way through to North Carolina. I said, did you live anywhere else? You said, no, you were born in North Carolina.
That's awesome.
I get it. But you left out Atlanta until you knew I was from Atlanta. And then you threw in Atlanta. I know why you did that.
This is just insane.
I'm sorry.
So
Acting
you
down.
believe, I want you to look me in the face, and I want you to tell me that you believe that right now you have a 30-ish-year-old son named William. You believe that?
Do I believe that?
Yeah,
Yes.
Uh-huh.
you believe that.
Yes. What do you mean, do I believe that?
I don't.
You don't believe I have I don't understand. You don't believe I have a son?
Well, it's kind of important, like where the kids live. I need to know, like, you remember the street or anything like that?
I don't.
This is about 1999-ish.
I don't remember.
Glenwood, Canada, Bordercrest.
She's so cold.
Clifton Church, Clifton Springs,
I
Memorial.
don't remember. It was a long time ago. I don't remember any streets.
But the last you remember is you left him with some female homeless shelter. And you remember her name?
Unreal. Because that's okay
I don't
too.
remember her last name.
Trisha. So, do you remember a female named Ava?
Ava?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
In Colorado.
She does. She gives me Letitia Stout vibes. That's exactly how she comes off to me. Cold, full of crap, and doesn't care.
Take your, I know we're talking about years ago, so take your time. James.
Georgia? No.
Well, I don't know what Carolina.
I didn't know someone in North Carolina, yeah, Charlotte.
Okay. Do you remember, I don't expect you to, I gotta ask. Do you remember a conversation when Ava asked you, hey, so where's William?
It's horrible.
To stay with his father's parents. His grandparents,
That's not a mom.
father's side. Remember that?
Not specifically, but I do remember her asking, where he was, and I didn't want to tell her that I.
Well, his father's parents at that time were deceased, so there's no way he could have stayed with his father's parents.
I know, Right.
So we talked to his father, we met with his father, and I know time for talk, and you were at a different point in your life back then. I'm not judging you. I'm not.
Looks like they want to watch all of
I
it
need
or a
you to
lot
be
of it.
real, this room is very important, okay? Lies change in this room. I need you to be very specific with me, because if something happened back when you were a young single mother, and you got scared or anything like that, I need you to tell me. Because I know where William is, and I think you do.
Yeah.
You know where he is? I mean, of course, I did not do the right thing. I know that. I
Okay.
shouldn't have left him.
That is what.
Lies, lies, lies. And then they wonder why we don't believe them.
I want.
He died in 1999.
What? No.
Yes.
Oh, so shocked.
No.
Yes. His bones were found.
No. No. No.
Not a good
It was
actress.
actually
No.
about 18 years to discover whose bones they were. So what we did was we went and met William Sr. and we took an sample from William Sr. to compare against the bones that were found in this field. It comes back to a high probability. We've done a lot of homework since then, which brought us to Phoenix, right? What we're gonna
Monster.
ask you is
Monster.
to consent to
Not even a monster.
DNA to
Plain
prove
monster.
that the identified young male is your son. Now, to
Lies
be honest with you, Teresa,
and
I
lies.
talked back in 99, you're a young single female. I'm not buying that you left your 7-year-old with some unknown female. I'm not buying it. I'm not.
So you think that I did
No,
something to him?
I don't. I absolutely don't. I absolutely don't. But I do think something happened. I think he became ill. I have his school records, his immunization records, his birth certificate. There's never been a report made of a missing person. I think something unfortunate happened, that you were scared. I'm not saying you killed anybody. This ain't 1994. But I think something happened and you panicked and left Georgia. That's what I think. And it's more than just you being on tough times at a shelter and giving your 6 or 7-year-old son to a stranger. That didn't happen.
Unreal.
Teresa, look at me.
I would never. I know I should have left him, but I would never hurt him.
I never said you did. No one said he's burned. I'm not.
This is John Doe. Isn't that what that means?
No, it's because we didn't have a name for years.
Oh my God. Okay.
Wow. Oh my God.
So I'm confused.
Ask me a question.
Okay, you talked to his father. You talked to his father, and he goes in and that it's a match.
Yes.
Okay.
But when you don't have both biological parents, it's not a. So, William, his father, it is like a 1 in 50 million chance that he's not the father. But 1 in 50 million isn't enough to say, yep, 100%. Now, I know 99.99999% yes. So, what we're going to ask is for your DNA to confirm that it was 100% definite. Because when you have DNA samples from both biological parents to compare against DNA from his bones, I know it will be a match,
So
but I
sad.
have to, it's something serious. You can't just guess, right?
Right.
So that's what brought us to Phoenix. And we wanted to hear what story you got. And I'm hearing your story.
And you don't believe me.
I mostly do. But in my mind, I feel like in the last 22-ish years since 1999, that you dreaded that this day might come where you would have to answer some questions as far as where your son is. I don't believe that you left your son with a stranger at a homeless camp. I don't.
Me either.
We've done this together for a long time, a 1,000 times. I'm not judging you. I'm not mad at you. I respect you.
Don't
Everyone
forget to
has
hit
a story.
that thumb button, please.
I need the real story. A lot of time, effort. So look, this
Subscribe
came
if you
from
haven't.
the National Centers for Missing and Exploited Children, okay, in Washington, D.C. There has been years of work to prove who this child is, a 7-year-old child that bones are found, okay? It's a big media thing. It's a big social media following. I don't accept, and I'm not always right, but I don't accept times were tough and I was in a shelter for a while and I just gave my 7-year-old to a stranger. And we can debate the definition of a stranger, that's not what we're here today too. But I need the real story. Because I'm not giving you the whole story. Like I can't show you all my cards, I'm giving you pieces of the puzzle, but there are things that I know about your son that I'm not going to disclose with you right now. I just can't for the integrity of the case. But I'll tell you, your report missing.
How can someone be this cold talking about their own child? I hope the jury is absorbing this. I am.
He's been unidentified for almost 23 years.
Brutal.
Me and him have been doing this together for about that long time. And we talk to people that have sat in chairs just like this.
You know, I had lots of struggles when I was raising my son alone. And let me tell you, this was not an option.
So bad happened that you did not know, or that person did not know how to react. And I know a lot of times you look at police, you know what I'm saying? I never did that. You're here to tell me we're here to find the truth without what happened to me.
If your child goes missing, I would imagine you would give your own life to find them. You will scrape, claw, whatever you need to do. You're not going to just go, oh, well, I left him with a woman I've never met in my life.
Right now, I can see this was a facial reconstruction that the National Center did. It was a closing.
Keep your eyes peeled for more car chases. That was awesome last night. If you didn't see it, check it out. A rogue U-Haul. The jury's still watching this, guys. That's exactly it, Dandy. It's not even an option that pops into a person's head. He's talking so softly to her. For you, you witch.
Our job is to figure out what happened. Whether it be accidental, freak accident.
Well, do you know how he died? Do you know how he died?
And I
So you do think they did something else, son?
I never said anything to her.
That guy's got a pretty strange haircut.
There are plenty of cases of
Is that hair on the top of his head? That little circle?
where a child passes overnight from SIDS, from being sick, and it's scared to call 911. Because they don't trust the police. Exactly. And they do what they felt as opposed to they can take things to do. Okay. Make us down near the cemetery.
Yeah, cemetery.
It's my first time seeing this
So
part.
with that person, who was trying to do the right thing. So we gotta figure out what happened. What happened? And there's only one person to hold the answer to it. That's you.
No, it really is not me.
Where do you go to school at?
And, we're in Georgia?
I know, you go to school.
No, we want no.
Where did you go to school at?
Now she's going to come up with something. I thought she left him with a stranger.
That's just for the name of the school.
Okay.
No, he goes to school in Charlotte.
What grade?
First thing I. So sorry, so fun, I'm going to try.
So what brought you back to Georgia from North Carolina?
I remember every little tiny bit about raising my son.
It's really because of, lost my job. So I was trying to find a new start. Because I had done when I was younger to help. And
It is vile.
so I said, well, there's a good place.
You've seen this before, Dandy. Is it quite long?
Didn't turn out that way.
How you got to Georgia? You take a bus?
I took a bus.
Where'd you go to the bus?
And I think I found, all the places where you can ask for, like shelters and stuff on. And accommodation. So when I went to a hotel first, I had a place there for, I think, a couple weeks, and then money ran out really quick. And I found.
It's not the best audio.
Information about the shelters that were downtown.
How long do you think you were in Georgia total? Like how many months?
I don't remember. I don't remember how long.
Was it winter time, summertime?
It wasn't cold. I don't think it was winter. It wasn't really cold.
Have you ever told anybody else that you had a child and whatever your version of the story might have been, did you tell anybody else ever?
Well, yeah, people know that I had a child. People had a child, and I didn't want to tell them that I left him, so I did tell them that he went to stay with family.
Did you tell the state no?
No.
When was the last time you told him he was dead?
You guys have any idea? What are you expecting? 6 charges, right?
Your son at least once, I think, right? Does that sound right?
Are they going to be able to get her on cam?
Like 2 or 3.
Very, very little, and after, didn't have any contact with my.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Dandy. They might be watching the whole thing.
No, doesn't talk to her at all.
That's not what he says. I'm just letting you know. I'm not saying it's true. Just throwing it out there. So you're never telling him for.
Of course, this all falls under fair use. Educational, absolutely.
No, but he had never done anything. So he wouldn't be able to do it.
She just sits there so calmly spewing out bullshit.
I would just think he would get first dibs, you know, hey, look, I'm going through my own things, I'm not able to care for the child, so you want to take care of them so I can get my act together. Like, I would think he would get first dibs before some chicken home shelter. That's just my thought. Oh, yeah, I get it. Like I said, I was in your shoes back then. I'm not judging. So did you ever actually live in an apartment or a house with a roommate at any point when you were in Georgia?
I never had my own place.
Still setting up, guys.
I said, the shelter's mostly, another lady I know that she worked at a club. I stayed at her house for a couple of months, but I never really had my own place. Or any roommates.
Oh, okay, an hour and a half? Yeah, they are. Oh, no, they didn't watch it all.
Or like, I don't technically, you might not have been on leave, but did you like befriend somebody that said, hey,
They've stopped watching it
for a while, or something like that?
Just the lady that I work with, I work at a strip club.
Right.
Really?
Or what's your club you work at?
Pleasure, something like that.
Atlanta.
Yeah. Oh, it was in Georgia. Yeah. Pleasure, something like that.
You want to consent to your DNA test? I know it's not uncomfortable, I apologize. We gotta play by their rules. So I'm gonna tell you,
I hope we hear something this morning.
one other thing that happens in this room that I think is important is you understanding that this is the only time we're gonna talk. Whatever you have to give as far as your story is today. There won't be, you know what, I'm trying to tell you A, B, and C tomorrow. Okay? We're going out drinking tonight, and then we're going to be on an airplane Thursday going back to Atlanta, and we have to have a meeting with a whole lot. We're going to go through this story. I've been doing this long enough. I'm going to tell you what a whole lot of people are going to say. You know what they're going to say?
They don't know what
No,
you're doing.
they're going to a little bit. They're going to say trees full of shit. That's what they're going to say. So, I don't know you. However, we knew that we were going to come and ask you for a sample of your DNA. Constitutionally, you have a right to decline that. So, the folks in Phoenix here, they worked with us and they got a court order signed by a judge ordering us the ability to take your DNA for comparison. That DNA is going to match, and this is going to be your kid.
Yeah,
No, I know, but I do assume, just in case, right? I play worst case scenario. And then we're gonna look at the facts.
She knows she's guilty and she's sitting here flinging this
The
crap.
facts are, you had a
It's gonna be
child,
so infuriating.
actually a copy birth certificate that you signed for him. He went to school in North Carolina up until like second grade, I think, maybe. And then he leaves school. He comes to Georgia, and February of 1999, his bones are discovered in a field. Now, his body had been there 4-ish months before anyone found the bones. And I'm just saying factually, you just go on about your life. You go to Alaska, you meet Nathan, you guys come back down here, you guys have your ups and downs. He ends up moving out. I know he got in some fight like a month ago. And nothing's ever brought up. There's no missing person report. There's no whatever. I believe, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to just tell you what I believe. And there's things I can't 100% disclose to you. I believe that your 7-year-old at the time became ill. I believe your son died naturally from that illness. I believe you made a poor decision. Because whatever reason, whether don't trust the police, fear the police, those are all reasonable. Don't have any family, reasonable. not stable, reasonable, and you let it ride. Teresa, I'm gonna tell you, if I'm close, the story that I just said, it is very important that you tell me, because those are my words, not your words. And I'm gonna tell you, Teresa, I have a family, he has a family, and kids change the dynamics of family. Okay?
So sad.
They do. Teresa.
Worker, come on. Do you think they did, or are they using that just to get her to start talking?
I know things I can't tell you.
Oh my God. I didn't know. I know that something was wrong. I know that I wasn't able to feed him right. We were eating. And we weren't even at the shelter stand. We were trying to speak like but bitches and do where we could just buy the place down as, and like the park or wherever. And he started like he one more time or one or two hours.
Crying because she got caught.
And I didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I figured, okay, maybe he's just really hungry. I got time for something to eat. And so I was trying to find out something to eat. And that didn't take help much. He kind of didn't do anything. And so we ate stuff.
I wonder how the jury read.
Okay. I can find something we can do this. A few ways. I'll find somebody to help us. And we have to go to sleep like in Florence. And we lay down for the night. And was it a pond? It wasn't like the woods or anything, but it was just like more trees and stuff, that was away from the road. And we lay down, and when I woke up, he didn't wake up.
Mm-hmm. Why did he have those meds in his system?
And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do.
Take him to a hospital?
Because I didn't know what was wrong. I thought it was just that he wasn't eating enough. I didn't think that thing happened. I was going to try and do what I could.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what to do.
Brutal.
Do you remember, I don't want to help you. Did he have like a cough or anything? Or did you give a cough syrup or anything? Do you remember? Trying to make him feel better?
No, they're going over and good morning, Mexi. The jury asked to see this interview. So we're watching it again.
It wasn't liquid, it was like a lozenge.
First time for me.
And I think I gave him that.
We only started about a half hour ago.
I tried to give him whatever I could to stop. I didn't know what was wrong with him.
Did you ever call 911 or anything for an ambulance?
I did. He said that I think he was wrong, and I should have done something.
I'm just asking. I'm trying to help.
She's admitting something. I think she's still full of ish.
So you stayed there. So you like did you leave him there? Did you move him at all? Bury him at all?
No. I don't know. Bury him.
So while we're waiting for either more questions or a verdict, I'll go through those closing arguments again. Have a good day, kiddo. Keep smiling, you cute little guy. You.
Try to provide,
cocaine, marijuana.
Cocaine sometimes, or whatever, sometimes it's,
It's blizzarding out, guys. Wind and snow. It's minus 18 C.
I do, but I've never stopped, actually. We live in
Can you imagine what her family's going to think of this, or is thinking, has thought of all this? She had more kids.
I was back because I was going to try to tell somebody something, and
Maxie.
I didn't, because I thought people would have thought that I something heard of it, and then I kept trying to say that I didn't say that, I didn't say something, I didn't say something, and then
Again, I just think she's crying because she got caught. This doesn't seem legitimate remorse, or you wouldn't have kept lying.
close like that.
I'd make a horrible juror.
Do you believe like he was suffering from malnourishment?
I think that's what it was. I mean, I know that I wasn't seeing him. We weren't able to eat very much. Drink water, but I don't know exactly what was wrong.
What was his symptoms? What was cold pains, sore throat, headache?
So again, this was the last thing that the jury wanted to see was this interview. So they went back into the courthouse to watch this. Room.
I mean, I'm not saying the whole story, but does she know? She was born yet. Does she know? Does she think she might have siblings out there?
Okay, you're ready.
That's kind of a better question.
Thank you. All right. Leave the transcripts here. Those don't go back with you. And let us know if you have any other questions. Okay. You can take the Kleenex. Is everybody good? Okay.
So that's
thank
what they
you.
wanted to see. And then they're just going to give us the countdown screen again, or not the countdown, but the watch screen again. And when they do that, I'll bring up the closing arguments. All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
The prosecution claiming she killed her son with either too much over-the-counter cold medication or trauma to the head before then dumping his body in a wooded area off Clifton Church Road 23 years ago. But today, a forensic pathologist, the sole witness for the defense, disputed those claims, suggesting he could have.
So again, watch yesterday because we did have the misfortune or fortune to seeing this woman on the stand. And I'd love to know what you think about her attitude because I was quite surprised by it.
Have had sepsis or seizures or died from another natural cause. The defense witness says she believes the fracture
So this is my stream from the other day. That's why you see me twice.
in William Hamilton's skull was caused by animals after his death.
Some of the other bones demonstrate changes that are in keeping with animal scavenging or animal gnawing.
I'm sure, but that
The prosecution's final
Why?
witness also testified today. Investigator Matthew McClendon, who interviewed Teresa Black when they tracked her down to Phoenix in 2022. McClendon shared a Facebook message they verified from 2017, where Wanda Hamilton, William's aunt, asks Teresa about her nephew, who would have been 23 years old if he were alive.
So how my nephew doing? I would love to see you all.
You know, there is, like I said, there's a lot of circumstantial or situations that you put together that really it doesn't seem to point to too many other people. Actually, nobody.
And then what was their response in a subsequent paragraph where the author is Teresa Black?
Teresa Black responds, he is good. He has 2 kids. I'll give him your number. We live in Alaska, but moving to Arizona.
That was 17 years after his body was discovered in DeKalb County. According to the investigator, the Facebook messages ended soon after when Teresa was pressed again about William and stopped responding altogether.
Oh, my word.
Pizza Hut's buy pizza, get free
Ah.
pizza. On January 10th,
Oh.
buy a large pizza, get a free large one.
No.
Still no action
I
in the
cannot
fight,
do
You're a
guys.
quarterback. Being 4th string at Georgia is
No.
better than being 2nd string at USC.
No, no,
Thank
no.
you
What am I
for making
doing? No. Okay, let's see here. What have I got? So this is a 1999 cold case. $1999. And what she's accused of is like, are you kidding me? Yeah, there's really not that much. I can look back and
I'll just get through my yipping.
me, I was wondering more why she was being so one-sided. It didn't seem to me. Oh, okay. That's what I thought. Yeah, we're going through those kind of appointments right now too, James. Good luck with yours, my friend. Yeah, it was complete speculation.
Let's see here.
Caused quite a stir in the courtroom.
That's right. Good evening, Savannah. The judge asked the jury to leave the courtroom several times because the prosecution and defense made several strong objections to some of the witness testimony. Here's a look inside the courtroom today.
I don't necessarily think it's bad character, but
Friday's testimony in the Teresa Black murder trial centered on both her ex-husband and the father of her son, William Hamilton. Black is accused of killing her.
So yeah, this is older. This is the dad that is testifying. So I thought we'd take a look while we're
Her
waiting.
6-year-old son, William, by giving him too much cold medicine back in 1999, then discarding his body in a wooded area in DeKalb County.
Just
The defense
wow.
previously painted the picture of Black being a single mother with no one to help her raise William. But the prosecution countered that argument.
What sort of things would your side of the family do to help out with William?
Babysit, clothes, whatever he need, money, whatever she needed for him.
The boy's father, William Hamilton, testified he made several attempts to see William and recalled one encounter when he says Black pulled a weapon on him.
I used to try and come and get him all the time. I couldn't never really get to see him. I mean, one time I went to go see him and she pulled out a gun.
Wait,
whoa.
Okay.
Judge, objection.
So this is the father.
all right, I need to send you all back out for a second.
The boy's father alleged she filed for child support years after William was already dead.
Do you recall
The gulf. Can you believe that?
child support?
Can you believe that? After this had happened and he was not in her custody, things had already gone sideways. She went after support payments.
Out for a second.
The boy's father alleged she filed for child support years after William was already dead.
Do you recall
Unreal.
whether or not any child support payments were taken out of your check? Yeah, William was already gone. And I never knew that.
Laquise Black testified he never met Williams while married to Teresa, and that she even faked a phone call between the two of them.
She made a phone call and I spoke to some gentleman on the phone that was supposed to be them.
Williams' aunt, Wanda Hamilton, broke down on the stand while speaking.
So yeah, what they're saying is that she also had somebody talk to him claiming to be his son. Like, are you kidding me? How are you that actual unbalanced that many years later you are asking for child support and faking his voice, faking him being alive? It's suspicious AF.
Some gentleman on the phone that was supposed to be them.
Williams' aunt, Wanda Hamilton, broke down on the stand while
What?
speaking about the little boy she knew.
He had a very good, beautiful smile that would just
Yeah.
melt your heart. He was a sweet guy.
Evil to the core.
How old do you think William was when you last saw him?
Evil.
And towards the end of the day, the prosecution called the DeKalb County Chief Medical Examiner, who was a deputy in the ME's office when Williams' body was found. We have all of today's testimony and our continuous coverage of this trial on our website at 11alive.com. Savannah and Faith, back to you.
Just heartbreaking hearing that, Latasha. Thank you. And as Latasha mentioned, to read more about this cold case that's now been.
So yeah, we're still waiting. Lucy. Holy. This is all over cookies, guys. This is all over cookies. So yeah, 1999. She didn't have custody. My opinion, she knew where he was. And
I'm just going to bump this up a little bit.
Investigators who traveled to Arizona to collect a DNA sample from her. Black claimed she left 6-year-old William Hamilton with a woman at a homeless shelter in Atlanta in the late 90s because she was no longer able to care for him. His body was discovered in a wooded area near a small...
You know, how disgusting is that? Even that, I mean, abandonment, abuse, all sorts of different things. And I literally believe that the M word as well. Personal opinion.
Cemetery on Clifton Springs Road in February of '99. The 6-year-old's identity remained a mystery for more than 2 decades. Then in 2019, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children released an image of a facial reconstruction of the victim. A tipster in North Carolina came forward saying she recognized the child as her former neighbor and recalled Black returning to North Carolina without her son.
He died in 1999.
What? No.
Yes.
Black continued to insist she was telling the truth, even after police told her William was dead.
You know, this is the thing. They go and they do these barbaric acts, and they're cowards. They do not take the responsibility. It's one of the most disturbing things. I have a very strong opinion when it comes to unaliving kids. And when it comes to parents that do this, I don't think that the option of manslaughter and all of these different things. I believe in DP when it comes to parents doing this to children. I do. I've got a very strong opinion.
And they did not believe her story. Midway through the interview, she breaks down and tells investigators the boy died in his sleep in the field where his body was found.
Yeah. So now she's admitting this. But at the same time, she's not going to let herself be held accountable. Something happened in a sleep.
In DeKalb County, Dieter Dukes, Fox.
Yeah. Unreal, friends.
Boost it up.
She is 46 years.
So yeah, we'll just go through this. It is the opening statements for the defense in the Teresa Black trial. So while we're waiting for the court, we will get a refresher. And for me, I basically, like I said, yesterday was the first time I really looked at this case. And it's harsh. She needs to go to the Hooskow.
Years old. She has an 18-year-old daughter.
Neither do I,
Who loves
Dandy.
her very much.
Not even a little bit.
She has a partner who she has lived with for many years, and they all live in Arizona together. She's been with the same company for the past 12 years, and she works very hard there. She's a good employee.
None of this matters, in my opinion.
Teresa has had a difficult life.
Haven't we all?
She had William when she was 15, 2 weeks after her 15th birthday.
Wow. I had no idea.
When she turned 18, her mother passed away tragically. Now,
So none of this, as we're listening to this, like none of this is William's fault, right? This is on her. This is all on her.
her mother was her support system. Her mother was
Nothing from the
William's
court
support
yet.
system. That was a tragic blow to that family, that Teresa's mother passed away when she was only 18 years old with a 3-year-old son. William's father really wasn't in the picture much. He didn't really contribute financially. So it was at that point, when she was 18 in Charlotte, it was Teresa and William fending for themselves. Right around when Teresa turned 21 and William was 6.
There's no
Teresa
defense
lost her
in my
job.
mind.
And she couldn't find work right away. It was tough. Like I said, it was her and William on their own.
Well, not William's fault.
So she made a decision. And that decision was to move to Atlanta, to seek opportunity, to seek a job, to seek work. So
Well,
she could
good
support
on her.
son, because that was the only choice that she had. Now, she'll tell you herself that that 20-year-old decision, it may have been a naive one. She didn't know people here. She didn't have a job opportunity right away. She didn't know the city well. But that decision was the best decision she knew to make to find work. She thought she was going to find work here.
You guys, we're literally almost 15 minutes late in the courtroom. So just to let you know, we are, I know I've got it up there, but we're waiting on the court.
So of course, this is from the other day. We're not, we're waiting for verdict now.
For about a week. For about a week, they're in hotel rooms, but that money ran out quickly. And like many families, then and now, they fell into a cycle of homelessness. It was
Scratch your way out of that
and
crap.
William on the street, asking folks for money, asking folks for food. They would take the MARTA bus during the day just to have something
So
to do
somehow she
to
felt
stay
leaving
warm.
him
We're
in
talking the winter of
custody of a homeless person
1998 going
to
into
go.
1999.
Brutal.
This was tough, but she was doing her best with what she had. They could stay
Yeah.
in shelters sometimes, but as I'm sure you understand, shelters fill up. That was not an option for them. So what they were
Way,
doing,
way different back in the 90s.
This literally, for me, is hard to listen to due to the fact that there is absolutely no reason to not take care of your child. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what your situation is as far as home. and what have you. If you can't do it, figure it out. And that is not leaving a 6-year-old in the woods to, yeah.
Once they got a better landscape of the city, they got to know the MARTA bus route well. And they would find quiet places to sleep, not near bus stops. They'd get off at.
All righty, the court is back. There we go, friends. We're on. There we are. Let's do this. 2 hours each, guys. Yeah, that was hard to listen to anyways.
Another computer plugged in there. It's, no, I just.
Still no other questions as far as the verdict watch goes?
Unplug from your laptop.
These closing arguments ended up being shorter than I really expected. I mean, the defense, I expected brief, but I was a little surprised the prosecution wasn't longer.
Did you disconnect?
I did.
Okay,
Yes,
that's
sorry.
fine.
We're good.
You good?
My husband is working way up north. It's minus 41 and everything's freezing up.
You guys don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and hit that bell.
I know. Standing room only.
Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. It's very, very important to me and the channel.
I do have the court's feed up, so anytime there's any kind of movement, I'll pause this and we'll bounce over there if there's more questions or a verdict. It surprises me sometimes. I expect some of them to go a lot longer as far as the verdict, and I expect some other ones to go pretty darn fast. I kind of expected this.
We have movement in the courthouse. Let me know what you guys think, even before we know these closing arguments, before we've got any kind of info from either side, from what you guys know. What would you at this point think? Good day, friend. Good day. Wow. I apologize for my my dog. I'm gonna try and fix this. Is that a bit better? It doesn't look like I'm just sitting. Do you have a good New Year's, Douglas? So they literally were, it was almost an hour late to get this going. And like I was saying, 2 hours
I'm the girl that
each
always
side gets
changes
for
the
the
menu
closing
a little
arguments,
bit.
and then it goes to the jury.
But I want this instead and that instead, and can I have some of this too and none of that?
State of Georgia versus Teresa Black. So with that question, I don't believe there is any kind of innocence here. I just cannot. I mean, the woman was telling everybody for 23 years that that guy was alive. When I say guy, they're saying that he was, what, almost 30 years old, and she was making.
Okay, I'm going to bump this up.
We are ready to go forward. Ms. Potter, you have the opening and concluding portions of the argument.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I may begin.
Here we go, closing arguments. Finally.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. I want to first thank you all for your time. You have been very attentive during this trial.
Can you hear everything okay?
And we were very observant in watching you take your notes. So I wanted to first thank you for your time. When the state first began this case, when the state first talked about the human remains that were discovered near the intersection of Clifton Springs and Clifton Church Road in a wooded area in Atlanta, Georgia, DeKalb County, we refer to those remains as child.
Absolutely, Dandy. I just need to
During the evidence, you heard that these remains were stored in the DeKalb County Medical Examiner's office for over 20 years. And at some point in time, Dr. Gowett and his colleagues gave these remains a name.
Yesterday,
called them Dennis. Because there were so many people coming to the medical examiner's office to review these remains in hopes of trying to discover who these remains belong to. So they named him Dennis.
Yeah, Hunter was
And then
interviewed.
you also heard during this trial that these remains did.
I don't know. It just seemed to me to confuse things even that much more. It really does.
And that these
in my mind,
remains
Summer
were
made it
sought
home.
after by individuals who loved him, who was steadfast in trying to find his location. And through the work and the love of Ava, we were able to determine the names of these remains were William Deshaun Hamilton.
I want to see that
These
interview
remains had a name.
and that testimony.
These remains were loved, were cared for. And we want to make sure that these remains will be now known as William Deshaun Hamilton. We want to give him that respect that he deserves.
Yeah.
And the respect that is warranted. You see, there were individuals that loved him. But there was one individual that
Dandy, if you know where that is, you can send it to
And
me on
she
Discord
failed
if you want. I can take a look at it.
And it was the one individual that was supposed to love him unconditionally. And instead, she discarded him as if he was trash and left him in a wooded area to slowly decompose to the point where no one is able to discover who he was for over 23 years.
Brutal.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's what happened here. And when we all first spoke with you during jury selection, we told you that this defendant was presumed innocent unless until proven guilty, right? And I'm going to get to that, but I wanted to make sure that this is the individual we're going to talk about today. This is the individual, William Deshaun Hamilton.
What a cutie.
This individual is the reason why this defendant is standing before you today.
What a little love.
Innocent unless and until it is proven guilty. And that presumption It's only there until it's overcome by evidence. Evidence that you heard from the witness stand, evidence that you heard through exhibits, through videos. Once that presumption is overcome by evidence, then they are no longer presumed innocent. That is done. It is gone. The state has the burden of proof in this case. And that's a burden that we take on. We have the highest burden of proof within our judicial system.
Yeah.
And we have to prove each and every material allegation of this indictment beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, what is reasonable doubt? That's important. The burden is important in this case because it tells you how you can review the evidence and make decisions based off of the evidence. So let me tell you what reasonable doubt is. It actually sounds as ironically as it says.
They're at their 4th hour now.
A doubt for which a reason can be given. It's based off your common sense and reason. So during jury selection, we were telling you, we understand that your experiences cannot be left outside. Your experiences make you who you are, and it helps you to learn what is common sense and what is not. So we didn't expect you to leave your outside experiences at the door. We expect you to use those experiences so you can be able to make inferences and reasonable deductions when you are reviewing the evidence. What reasonable doubt is not, it is not any possibility. There are millions of possibilities that anyone can come up with. The question is whether or not there is a doubt that is reasonable that goes to the essential elements of the crime to which the state has to prove. It is not vague, it is not arbitrary, and I do not have to prove to a mathematical certainty. I don't have to say this is 100% guilty, this is 99% guilty. That is not how reasonable doubt works. It's not to a mathematical certainty. Your job as jurors is to not search for doubt. We asked you during jury selection, can you be fair? Can you
I
be
bet
impartial?
Dandy.
That's how I feel too.
Because that is what a juror is a fair and impartial juror who is honestly seeking the truth as to what happened to William between December 1st, 1998 and
Way
February
beyond his
26th,
years, that sweetheart.
That is your duty, and that's what the state is calling upon you to decide in an impartial and a fair manner.
Stare down with Lizzie, the cookie fight.
Between December 1st, 1998 and February 26th, 1999. So I want to ask you, when we speak about reasonable doubt, let's think about it this way. Is it reasonable that this defendant, who knew something was wrong with her son William for a few days, who observed the following symptoms of her son over a few days: lethargic, weak, tired, gagging, didn't want to talk.
Me too, Maxie.
Didn't want to walk, didn't want to do anything. Is it reasonable for a parent to see these symptoms for a few days and not seek medical attention?
Well said.
Right?
I'm agreeing with me even.
Parent may see one symptom, maybe two, but you have 7 different symptoms up here that this child is experiencing over a period of few days, and that came from this defendant's mouth. And she failed to seek medical attention.
Yes, she did.
And because of that, William is...
Who does that? Like, really, who does that?
I agree with me again.
Venue is the location where we say the crime happened. We're here, venue is DeKalb County. We have to prove that this case, that venue relies in DeKalb County. I want to let you know that if a dead body is discovered in this state and it cannot be readily determined in what county the cause of death was inflicted, venue is proper and may be proved in the county in which the dead body was discovered. I submit to you, and I'm gonna say it now, that the state does not believe that William Hamilton died in that wooded area and laid there for decomposition. I submit to you that William was driven there and dumped in the woods with his Timberland boots on, double knotted as defense counsel stated, and left there. We know he didn't sleep there from a plethora of reasons, but one that was very, very important was that canned bottle that had his shoe imprint in the wooded area. Is it common sense to believe that he slept on that canned bottle when he went to sleep that night? Because the intention of the canned bottle was that. I submit to you that if he slept there, meaning that Teresa, this defendant, and William got off a bus and they walked to a location in the wooded area to get off the street and slept on pine straw during the cold, when she previously advised you that she slept on park benches, that she slept in the park and at bus stops, she's not going to go to a wooded area full of pine straw to go to sleep. And William's leg is not going to be so comfortable that his boot is sitting on a can while he's resting. So I submit to you that this body was dumped in this wooded area in our jurisdiction in DeKalb County, and that is where it is.
Wow.
There's also another portion of venue that we have to prove as well. In any case in which it cannot be determined in what county a certain crime was committed, venue is proper and may be proved in any county in which the evidence shows beyond a reasonable doubt that it might have been committed. So I want to talk to you about
that is dandy.
Briefly, and I'm gonna come back to it, but concealment of it, right? She concealed it and she lied about it.
That's been a big issue for the defense.
She placed the body in the wooded area. She told you she either took a jacket or a sweater and she laid it on top of him, covering up his body. Concealment. And then she lied about it. She lied about it continuously over and over and over. And the lie started at the very beginning. The lie started when she made that phone call to Ava from a payphone. And I submit to you that during her statement, she stated when she got here, she was living in the Decatur area. She used a payphone and she stated that William was in a room with friends.
Lie after lie after lie.
But she told you all through her statement that she lived in the Decatur area, which is in DeKalb County. There's no area outside of Decatur, Georgia, that is not located in.
Oh my God, there's a blizzard outside and there's somebody out there snow blowing.
She told Ava, oh, William, he's in the room with my friends. She just got to her. What friends she got? She don't know nobody.
Good point.
William did. And at that moment, she told a lie, starting a cycle of lies and continued the lies for decades.
Decades.
I began in the cabin. So I have to prove that many lies in the cab in reference to that charge as well.
People never cease to amaze me.
You all a preview.
The snow's blowing all over the place. But he's out
Here's
there.
the location where William was found. And you heard from multiple witnesses that the body was located somewhere along this wooded area.
Can you hear him up
There's a
there?
path. You can actually see a vehicle right here. There's a path in which cars can travel within that wooded area. And here is the entire cemetery
Okay.
the defendant never saw when she told you all she slept there. And then she stayed there for a day or two watching over William.
Well said.
As he lie there dead. She never knew
Brutal.
the entire cemetery there. And you telling this jury that you've been there for over 24 hours watching your dead son.
Oh my goodness. The guy just looks like a pop.
Unreal. Oh my God.
So then,
how's that working?
let's talk about her intent. I want to be clear.
What am I watching?
In order for the state to prove intent, which we have to do, I want the jurors to know that it may be inferred from proven circumstances by any acts or conduct. I can prove this defendant's intent through her actions, through her conduct.
There is so much information. I mean, I know it's not DNA.
He blew my car off.
To show any kind of injury or what have you, right? But I mean, to me, circumstantial evidence is equally as strong. I hope the jury feels the same.
Absolutely.
And in your discretion, you can also infer logical conclusions about her acts or conduct, and you can look at it and see if her acts or conduct results in a natural and necessary consequence of those acts. So, for example, this defendant gives her child some medicine, some acetaminophen and diphenhydramine, because there may be issues going on or because she needs him to sleep. And then he began to exhibit symptoms from these drugs. And she tells you in her statement, I will give him anything I can find. She subsequently over-medicates.
Oh my God.
You can draw the logical conclusion that that medication that was also found in his skeletal tissue, coupled with her statement that she gave him,
I expected that.
without seeking medical attention, you can infer that the logical result of that conduct can result in death. Criminal intent does not mean the intention to violate the law. We don't have to prove that she intended to kill William. We only have to prove that her actions were prohibited by law. And her actions in her failing to seek medical attention for her son, knowing that he has these symptoms that he has been exhibiting in her care for a few days and failed to get attention. When she is now dealing with something that's outside her expertise, right? When you're sick, you got a cold, you'll take some medicine. And hopefully you'll take the prescribed dosage as notated on the medication.
Especially when you're dealing with
But
a
if you
child.
don't get better, you don't continue to take the medicine. And as you continue to deteriorate, you won't not go to the doctor or seek any kind of medical attention to get better. That's unreasonable, especially when you're 6 years old and you can't do it yourself. You have to depend on the person who took you from your family, who uprooted you, moved you to a new state, and that is the only person that you got to depend on. So at 6, he can't do it himself. And so this
He's
defendant,
6 years old.
who is his parent, has the obligation to make sure the safety and welfare of her son is accounted for.
Agreed.
And by doing so, when things of this nature happen, you need to seek medical attention. And if you fail to do so, the natural and necessary consequence of that action can result in death. You heard testimony from several doctors that at any point in time, when these medicines are in the system and there's a level where it becomes toxic, you can get medical care and you can live. But if you fail to do so, the consequence of your actions can result in death. So I don't have to prove that she intended to kill him, but I have to prove that she intended to not get him medical attention. She intended to not get him medical attention because she didn't. She intended to give him medicine. She continued to give him medicine, and he obtained a level of toxicity to the
That's
point
what I
where
think.
it caused his death. Intention, proven. She gave him medicine, it's in his system. She didn't seek medical attention, she told you that. Those are the two acts that I need to prove in reference to this defendant, not that she intended to kill. Witnesses came on this stand, and it's your job to observe their credibility. When observing their credibility, you have to gauge their manner, how they testify, their interest or lack thereof in this case, their means and opportunity of knowing the facts about which they testify.
Yeah, I think it is something like
the
that, Maxie.
nature and the facts about which they testify.
That's horrible, Dandy. Like,
The
unreal.
probability or improbability of their testimony.
As you're
And their
popping in,
Against nature, I will never understand these.
don't forget
It's
to
never happened in 19
subscribe,
years.
like, and share. Hit that thumb. Means a lot to the channel
Ava came
and
to you
me.
all and took the stand. What did she gain from it by taking the stand? What did she gain from it by telling you what she knew?
He's still out there
Told
chasing
you
the snow.
Several things, plenty of things about this case. William Hamilton, he testified. He told you, I tried to see my son on many occasions. She wouldn't let me. She even put a gun out on me when I came to see my son. I just wanted to see my son. I wanted him to be a part of my life, my family's life. His grandmother Margaret told you, I love my grandbaby. I would have done anything for him. I would have taken care of him if given the opportunity.
Thanks,
I took
Maxie.
my grandchildren at one time. What did they have to gain from their testimony other than just telling you the truth? What do they get the benefit just by coming here and speaking to you? And if you determine that these individuals are credible,
Can you guys hear that thing?
believe what they say.
I can mute if you do. Oh, stop. Nope.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
And I want to be very clear that
I couldn't even get
whenever
licking.
one
Like,
witness
wow.
testifies and you believe them, that establishes a fact. The state does not have to prove or corroborate any witness statement. If you determine the facts from one witness and one witness alone to be the truth or to be a fact,
Yeah.
that is it. I don't have to corroborate any
It's
additional
like,
facts.
oh
from
my
witnesses.
goodness.
So when Ava told you
Just caked with snow.
that she met Teresa in 1995,
There goes
and
some
they hung out
skidoos.
every single day. Got up in the morning, smoked a little weed before they went to work, got off work. She played with William every day. And then Teresa ups and leaves and comes to Atlanta, Georgia.
I think he's done.
She calls her one time
Oh,
and never calls her again. One time in Atlanta and never calls her again. That is a fact. And that's a very, very important fact. Because when you are best friends with someone and you talk to them every single day, and that best friend loves your child, and it's unquestioned, undisputed how much Ava loved that child. She loved him so much that she was the only one who fought for him, and they weren't even biologically connected.
Thank God for Ava.
Teresa trusted Ava around her child. Ava asked every day, where's my baby? How my baby doing? Even when she witnessed this defendant abuse her child, she told you on 2 different occasions.
Report her. It should have been reported.
One time.
What?
And then the second time when he didn't like her food, she threw him across the room.
What?
Oh my God. That just makes me
Those
sick.
facts were given to you by Ava.
Oh my God.
If you determine those facts to be true, then they are facts, and that is enough.
The ability to do that alone
Evidence.
tells
There
you
are
a
2
lot.
kinds of evidence. And it's very important. One does not outweigh the other. They are weighed equal. You have direct evidence, and then you have circumstantial evidence. Direct evidence is what you heard from the witness stand. Exhibits. Things you can see. Things you can hear. Videos. Interviews. That's direct evidence. Circumstantial evidence is a proof or set of facts and circumstances that tend to prove or disprove another fact by inference. Jurors, you are allowed to make logical inferences based off the facts that you learned in this case. Inference number 1. Gary Harris, individual who lived on Clifton Springs Road, who worked night shifts, staying at his brother's house, came here after the Olympics.
Buddy in a snowblower left.
Because he lives with his brother at the time, and he was sleeping in his nephew's room.
No movement in the court.
He hears something around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. He hears a door. He looks out of the window, sees the inside of the car light on, and sees another door closed. And then it drives off. And he told you that was so odd because nobody is out in the woods at 4 o'clock in the morning over in this area. It's cold. And it's so
Hey,
cold
moon
that the next
boots.
day
Good
he
to
wanted
see
to
ya.
go investigate and see what
I
was
love
going
the
on.
handle, moon boots.
And then subsequently, the news came on, and the remains were found in that wooded area. You can
Love
make
it.
logical conclusions.
It's heartbreaking.
That based off that series of facts, that it was highly probable and highly likely that's when William's body was getting dumped in the woods.
So what we're doing right now is we are looking at closing arguments while we are waiting for the jury. I pop over there quite a bit just to see if there's any questions being asked. So if anything shows up, I'll pause this and take you right back to the courthouse.
You have the ability to make those inferences through
Sounds about
circumstances.
right.
There is no legal difference between direct evidence and circumstantial evidence. The law does not require any higher or greater degree of certainty on the part of the jury to return a verdict based upon circumstantial evidence than upon direct evidence. You can base this whole entire case off circumstantial evidence.
That's great to hear, friend. Glad to have you. Welcome to the think tank.
You see, the test is whether there is sufficient evidence or whether evidence is sufficiently convincing to satisfy you that the elements of each
So yeah, what we're doing is waiting for a verdict, looking at the closing arguments. If nothing's done, then I'm going to I've got Ava's testimony that we will take a peek at. And any questions from the jury, I will absolutely be clicking on those and showing them as well.
material elements of each additional count have been proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Whether it be direct evidence or circumstantial evidence, it doesn't matter. It's evidence. There is no rule that either direct evidence or circumstantial evidence is stronger than the other if conflicting. The comparative weight of circumstantial evidence and direct evidence on any given issue is a question of fact. And that question of facts lies with the jury. There are 6 counts in the indictment. These counts form the issues to which you are to decide here today. You have count 1, felony murder, which is count 1 as well as count 3. Count 2 and 4 are cruelty to children. Count 5 is aggravated assault, and count 6 is concealment of death. I want to speak with you first in reference to count 1, felony murder. There are 2 ways the state of Georgia charges murder. Right? You have malice murder, which is not being charged here today, and you have felony murder. Now, malice murder is the typical murder that everyone knows. A person who commits malice murder has the intent to kill. They pick up a gun, they point it, fire, pow, shoot the individual, they die. Or they take a knife and they deliberately stab an individual.
They're not showing the defense table.
They have the intent to kill. And
Oh,
that is
prosecutors,
malice.
I guess.
Felony murder is totally different. It's not that, and that's not what we have charged this defendant. Felony murder.
It's always nice to see their
is that
reaction.
when someone causes the death of another
I agree with
person
me.
by committing a theft. You commit a felony, and as a result of that felony, someone died. So count 1 is charged that this defendant did commit the death of William Hamilton, a human being, by failing to seek medical treatment for Will.
Boom.
The failing to seek medical treatment for William is the basis of the cruelty to children. So that is the felony. So the cruelty to children committed a crime, ultimately resulting in the death of William. Count 2.
Like I said, that circumstantial evidence, it tells me the entire story. You know, I don't need to know a whole lot more in my mind. I know everybody's going to have different opinions on this, but I don't think there's too many other things that could have happened other than his mother being responsible. I just don't see it.
Cruelty to children, just to reiterate.
I agree with me
Did
again.
maliciously cause William Hamilton, her child, cruel or excessive physical or mental pain by failing to seek medical treatment for William Hamilton.
That's seriously one of the better handles I've heard. Moon boots.
Of cruelty to children.
Good job.
Maliciously caused, cruel or excessive physical or mental pain to a child under the age of 18. Count 3 is also felony murder.
It's a special
And
place
count
in hell
3
for these
is that
people.
this defendant did cause the death of William Hamilton, a human being, by administering a substance or substances containing diphenhydramine and acetaminophen.
Thanks
Also
for being
known
here,
as
Dandy. I appreciate it.
Benadryl and Tylenol.
True story again.
Again, for felony murder, cause the death of another by committing a felony. The felony in count 3 is also cruelty to children, but it's a different count. It is count 4. Did cause cruel or excessive physical or mental pain by administering a substance or substances containing diphenhydramine and acetaminophen. So, I want to speak with you in reference to maliciously caused, because malicious seems like a really, oh man, I maliciously attacked someone.
She said
That is not the
punched
legal
him.
jargon or the legal definition.
Ah,
of malicious.
threw him across the room.
Malicious is not
Oh
ill
my
will,
God,
it is
man.
not hatred. We're not saying that she hated Will. Disconnected, sure. Love, questionable. We're not stating that it was ill will or hatred. Malice is the intent to cause pain without justification or excuse. Willfully doing an act while aware of the strong likelihood that pain may result. Dr. Jackson told you all that he was a toxicologist, that he received 2 samples of skeletal muscle from DeKalb County Medical Examiner's offices, and he tested that muscle for any therapeutic and illicit drugs. And during his test, he discovered that it was 93 micrograms per gram of acetaminophen and 2,000 nanograms of diphenhydramine.
That's the thing. The little guy had 2 different
Those drugs
types.
were in Williams' system, and Dr. Jackson told you that they were administered at least shortly before death. He cannot tell you the dosage, whether it was a lethal amount of dosage or a level of toxicity, given the fact that he only had that sample. He didn't have any other factors. He was not aware of any symptoms the victim was experiencing at the time. So we know for sure.
Like I said, special place in hell for these
was
people.
in this defendant's care, and those drugs were in his system. You can now infer that this defendant gave him those drugs. Knowing that he is now experiencing these symptoms, she continues to give the drugs. And she tells you that he can't walk, that he can't talk. When someone can't walk and can't talk, it is logical for you to infer that that is painful. And it then carry on for a few days. It becomes cruel. That is malice. The fact that she gave these drugs, observed these symptoms, and allow him to continue to suffer. That is the maliciousness of the cruelty to children account.
It's just cruel, plain and simple. In many areas,
Suffers continuously without getting the
all
medical
areas.
attention. That is cruel or excessive. I don't have to prove both. I just have to prove one or the other, cruel or excessive. So however you determine it,
I sure hope so. I mean,
6-year-old suffers continuously and continues to.
she watched
exhibit these
him
symptoms that
for how many days?
I was paranoid to give my son any kind of
It's for you to
medication.
decide.
So how does a
For a
person?
person who can't walk, who can't talk, who is gagging,
Oh,
who doesn't want to do anything. It's physical pain. And William was.
Oh, just makes some person mad. Ooh-la.
Those are the elements, the essential elements that the state has to prove, and the state has proven to you in reference to the cruelty to children count. And because he dies as a result of the diphenhydramine and acetaminophen in his system,
Jesus,
that's how we get to felony murder. He dies because he has these drugs in his system. He's exhibiting these symptoms, and this defendant doesn't get him medical treatment. And because of that, he dies. That's how we get to the other felony.
Just unreal.
It's cold out here in the big Rockies. Burn.
Count 5 is aggravated assault. This is the count where the state feels they have proven beyond circumstantial evidence that this defendant assaulted William with an offensive weapon. Offensive weapon can be anything. It's unknown to us at what type of weapon was used. But I submit to you this. It's undisputed that William had a fracture in his zygomatic bone. Dr. Gower referred to it as the jawbone. Some are referred to it
I also
as
thought there was
the
another
jawbone.
injury to the skull. Maybe I was mistaken.
The jawbone is fractured. And each and every medical expert that came into this courtroom and testified tells you that it is a possibility that fracture could have been a
Lose my
result of
boots.
blunt force
Aw.
trauma. No one can rule it out, not even a defendant's expert. In fact,
The
she
bothersome
conceded that
thing
there was a
is
possibility that
that
fracture
people are saying that she has punched
could have
him
been a
and
result
thrown him
of
across
trauma.
rooms.
What was also telling about that same fracture is that there were no gnawing marks, no scratch marks, no clawing marks from animal scavengers. There were on other parts of William's skeletal bones, but none where that fracture was. And that was very important. That was very important information provided by the anthropologist, that there was no gnawing, no scratching of that part of the bone. So therefore, we submit to you that bone being fractured was not a result of animal scavenging.
What do you guys
Ava
think
told
of
you.
Animal scatter.
As she watched her interaction with Teresa and William while they were together every day, seemed to be a disconnection. This defendant was not connected to William.
I wish they were showing the defense table.
Where she struck him.
Yeah.
She punched him.
Yep.
Oh my God.
And then she pushed him one time just because he didn't even like what she cooked. And this was before he died. And he died.
Oh my word. I'm going to love to see what the defense has to say because.
And she hit a kid
No.
who was no older than 6 years old because he didn't like her food.
Ava seemed like the hero
Margaret
of this
Hamilton told you
entire
that
case.
there was a period in time when this defendant was not around William. And when she came back into his life, she had some concerns. She had concerns about the welfare of William. And that is telling. You know what is also telling to me that I hope you all recognize as well? Throughout everything you heard from this defendant's statement to that witness stand, I never heard anything, including her statement, that she loved William. She never said it. Not once.
Brutal.
She was concerned about herself and saying, I didn't do anything.
I'd still be mourning. I 23 years later, I would still be mourning.
I submit to you, she may have struck him, just like she did on the previous occasion.
That's what I think.
Caused that fracture. He's sick.
Brutal.
Dies. She has something to hide. Dumps the body in a wooded area, in a location that she's not familiar with, not known to be around. She got on. And what's even more ironic about the disconnection between her and William is that his first birthday after his death, she was at the DMV getting an ID card. The first the first birthday of William's murder, she is getting her ID card down at the DMV. That's the level of disconnection this mother had for her son William. The last count on this indictment is concealing the death of another. What the state has to prove is that this defendant concealed the death of another person, which hindered the discovery of whether that person was unlawfully killed. We charge this count in two ways. You see here it says, did unlawfully conceal the death of William Hamilton, which hindered the discovery of whether William Hamilton was unlawfully killed by leaving the body of William Hamilton in a wooded area and about lying about his whereabouts. The law's a little funny, right? Let me tell you about that little word "and" in that indictment. You see, it really reads "and or," and means or. Right? I don't have to prove both. I just have to prove one or the other. I have to prove that she concealed his death by either leaving the body in a wooded area or by lying about it.
Yeah, I don't know how the defense is
We've
going to
proven
be
it
able
both ways,
to
but I still just want you all to
explain any
understand
of it,
how the
to be
law
honest
works,
with you.
explain it a little bit to you. Leaving the body in a wooded area.
I don't think I like
She
my
tells you
audio.
herself. I left him in the wooded area. Off the street, we walked up. She tell you he was sleeping for the night there. I humbly disagree.
Whatever.
But nevertheless, she laid him in a wooded area. She also told you that she either took a jacket or a sweater and she covered him up. That is very important because now you're covering up the body, further concealing the death of the remains. And it's in her statement. And if you didn't hear it, you have every opportunity to ask to listen to it again. That's totally your option. If you need to hear it, just let us know. We will happily play it for you. We don't have to play the entire portion of the interview. We can only play whatever part she needs to hear. But this defendant told you that she laid that jacket or sweater, either it was hers or something William had, laid it on top. Wooded area in a location where she's not familiar with, nowhere near William is from, no family nearby. And she left.
It's just disgusting.
And that body laid there until it was discovered by Mr. Parker and Mr. Carter, the two grave diggers, on February 26, 1999.
Brutal.
She also lied about it. I'm going to tell you again the conversation she had with Ava. When she got to Atlanta, Ava told you all it was roughly about a week. A few days had passed. She felt she was at a payphone because she could hear the change dropping. And at that time, Ava knew William wasn't with her. And this defendant also confirmed that by saying he's in the room with my friends. And then Ava never heard from her again until she ran into her in Charlotte. At this time, William is long dead. William was dead when that conversation was made. Because think about this. Your best friend, you talk to every day, at your house, every day. And in an instant, no contact.
I mean, personally, guilty.
Logical inference in that.
Oh my God. What the mother hell?
Loved William. Asked about William on that phone.
I mean, it makes you feel ill.
She couldn't stomach it. She didn't call anymore. Either way you put it, whether you consider it.
I was one of those paranoid moms.
By
I had my kid at the doctor every couple of weeks until he was 5.
Leaving him there for the maggots.
What's this? What's that? How come this is happening?
And then lying to
Like,
Ava.
Unreal. This is so against nature.
Continuously lying to Ava because Ava continuously asked where was William. She never let up, and thank God she didn't, because now
we're on jury watch.
Respect and justice that he truly deserves.
I sure freaking hope so.
We would have never figured out who he was, and she would have been successful in concealing.
Thank God for Ava.
By the time law enforcement found the body, it's fully decomposed. We couldn't even tell if it was a boy or a girl. We couldn't even tell the color, nationality, nothing. don't even make assumptions.
All's good,
Because
eh?
now some
Doing well,
men
American.
boots that were double knotted, some boys underwear. Ladies and gentlemen, quite honestly, that's almost how you conceal a death.
Minus
But
20
for the fact
Celsius, and my dogs are in the
that you have
backyard
a
just
best
having a
friend
blast in the
who just so
snow.
happens to love your child more than you.
The defense, in my personal opinion, is just
Ladies and gentlemen.
ridiculous.
I'm getting ready to sit down for a second. And then defense counsel is going to come up here.
Oh, whoa.
I'm going to suggest that he's going to tell you that this may have been unfortunate.
Yes, ma'am. Man.
That this defendant was young.
Unidentified for
That she didn't know
23
what.
years, left in the bushes.
That was fast, faster than I expected.
But I disagree. She made a conscious decision in every action and in her conduct.
Yeah, 1999.
She made a conscious decision to leave Charlotte with no family here in Georgia at 18 years of age, got on a bus and brought William here when there were multiple people more than willing to care for William.
Still surprises me how short this part was. I expected the prosecution to go a lot longer.
Until she got on her feet. But she didn't want that. She didn't want them. She didn't want William with.
How's the defense going to try and dig themselves out of this? Like, that's going to be an
And one of the
uphill
reasons
battle.
was because William Sr. had another child that he just so happened to name Deshaun.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, what is that?
She gets here. She gets a job at Pleaser stripping.
No, she didn't.
She
She
takes all
just
kinds of drugs,
basically,
some whatever they give her.
I don't know what her reasoning
Whatever it is,
was.
the pills, cocaine, didn't matter.
He had too much
She has to say
Benadryl
she
and
wants
too much acetaminophen in his body.
She then begins to medicate him. He gets sick. And she made a conscious decision to continue giving him medication.
Yeah.
She makes a conscious decision to not give him help. He's so desperate.
I agree.
Those are not mishaps.
Nope.
Those aren't, oh my goodness, I knew something was wrong and I didn't do it, but I shouldn't be held responsible. No.
Own up to your
She
stuff.
is responsible. And she needs to be held accountable.
I agree with me.
Mm-hmm.
And my co-counsel is going to come up here after the defendant gives you his closing arguments.
Okay.
She's going to give the final remarks. And she's going to ask you to do what justice
Get on me.
She's going
Okay.
to actually return a verdict of guilty.
That's not going to happen.
All counts was about. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, we're going to take a very, very quick break just to switch over the electronics. So if you step back to the jury room, we'll break right back.
I can't believe it. That was, yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Like, that was fast. So can you imagine how fast the defense is going to be? Because I don't know how they can dig themselves out of this. I mean, she literally, this stuff is proven to be in his system. She admits going, camping or sleeping in the woods for the night. I mean, how are you going to dig yourself out of this? And then they're saying that she was punching him and throwing him through, not through, but across rooms. It's like, I don't know about this. I don't know about this at all. No. Why do I do that? I don't even know. Every time. There we go.
So this is the
There's other
defense.
things too. That he was dirty when some people bathed him, or that he was a bedwetter and some mornings he didn't have a bath before going to the babysitter's house. Are these things evidence of murder? If they are, the headlines should read, "Mother convicted of murder for not giving her child Halloween
I'm sorry,
candy."
this guy
That's
drives me
ridiculous.
crazy.
We all know
You're
that's
ridiculous. I
These
judge
things
thee.
are not evidence,
I judge thee.
but it's all the state has. So they hope if we pile enough of it together that, sure, one thing's not enough, but also somebody said his feet stunk sometimes. So when you add that in, they want this web to now say, see, we told you. See how she was as a mother? Now they need you to make a leap that she's a cold-blooded murderer.
I was not a leap
That's
from the
ridiculous.
stuff we just listened to. In my opinion.
Ava said that she was with Teresa and William every day for 4 years. She never said she saw physical abuse. And we need to talk about this. She said that she saw nothing
Thrown across the
that would
room.
make you think she would hurt him. The state says that the Charlotte witnesses can tell you the state of the relationship between William and Teresa. That's the state of the relationship. The person who was there every day said she never displayed anything that would make you think that she would hurt him. That's the state of the relationship.
Because
The two
yeah,
times that
people
she was
all the
remotely
time
rough
show
with
that
him,
kind of stuff and tell their
the
friends
state
that.
just told you what Ava said. And it's up to you to remember what Ava said.
Yeah, I can agree with that, Tony.
The
Absolutely.
state used the words abuse, punch, threw, and
Me too.
struck.
Yep.
That's not what Ava said.
Oh.
Ava said once she kind of shoved him in the chest, but it didn't hurt him.
Why are you shoving a kid in
And
the
another time she pushed him in the chair, but that didn't hurt him either.
Why are you laying even a finger on your kid?
She said she didn't call defects, despite knowing she could, because it wasn't serious like that. She did not have a concern about her being violent to him. But the state just sat here, right where I'm standing now, and Miss Jackson told you that that was proof of abuse and that she punched him and struck him and threw him. They lied to you. That is not what Ava said.
Hey, Tony, we watched a car chase last night. It was a rogue U-Haul. I'm going to start doing, just as a little bit of a break from the heaviness that trials and cases are, and do car chase as well. This was not long, but oh my God, did I laugh. If you're into that stuff, check it out.
Said. But they need it to be. Because a mom,
I don't know, this guy bugs me.
97, who pushes their child in the chest when he makes a complaint about what's for dinner, does not get you to where they need you to be.
But you don't touch
It
them
doesn't
with
get
a
you to
freaking hand on your
same type of
children.
woman
Oh,
that would
shite.
come to DeKalb County and murder her child.
It
in
was
cold
short.
blood. We all know that's true. So they need it to be abuse. They need it to be struck. They need it to be hit and through. And that's not what Ava said. She said that both of those instances were not a big deal and were not serious.
Stupid people.
She didn't even tell you that she spanked William or that she whipped him or hit him or anything like that. Nothing.
I think she's got a temper.
No one ever told you, despite other people saying that they bathed William, they ever saw any marks on his body, because there were none. Ava told you what else she saw in the 4 years that she knew William.
Exactly. I
She saw
laughed the
William's
whole time.
father
It was like, oh
once.
my God, people are dumb.
In the 4 years she knew William, she saw William's father once. We heard about Teresa being angry when William's father's family dropped him off late. Of course she was angry.
Who else is talking? So what we've got here is the closing arguments from the other day, and we're watching those until there's any movement in the courtroom. We watched a couple of questions this morning from the jury, and now there hasn't been much happening for probably the last hour. So yeah, we're taking a look at the closing arguments and then possibly Ava's testimony. That's what we're doing.
William's father has no involvement in his life. Teresa sets boundaries and rules, and they get broken. William's grandmother, Margaret Hamilton, she said she thought it was because it was a school night and Teresa wanted them home early. Either way, whether you think Teresa was justified or not in her emotions or how she felt,
Brutal.
is that evidence of murder? Of course it isn't. And taken with everything else, it still doesn't add up to the leap that they need you to make.
Circumstantial evidence, like I said, means a
The
lot.
state brought you witness after witness.
That woman was me.
Say, I would have taken William if she had asked.
Growing up, there was no DNA. All these cases were
And
circumstantial for the
I
most
still
part.
don't know
You
why
got the bad guys.
they kept trying to insist that, because it cuts against their theory. If Teresa didn't want to be a mother anymore, why not give him up? Why not give him up to family that has watched him before? If her whole thing is she wanted to be
Would have
rid of
been
him,
better than what she did.
Double
if you wanted
trouble.
to so
Allegedly,
badly to not
my
be a mother
opinion.
anymore, why not
Don't
just
see.
give him to
I keep
family?
interrupting myself.
Because it's not true. Teresa didn't want to be rid of him. Teresa did want to be a mother. She was moving to Georgia, and she brought him with him because that's her son.
I don't think so.
Did she though? Did she
I
though?
agree with
From
me. I
several
agree
other
with me.
people from Charlotte. First one was Miles Boyce, that I want to talk about next. The guy that drove her to the bus station. Says that they were friends. Teresa came over to his house several times. Let William go over and play with his sons. No abuse, no concerns, no isolation of William. This is
Okay,
the state of their
almost
relationship in Charlotte. Montequellian Davis, the babysitter. She said William was dirty when he lived with his grandparents. This was before Teresa's mother passed away. That's what she said. She said Teresa would let William come over for the weekend. When Miss Davis asked if William could come over, Teresa never said no. No
That
physical
makes
abuse,
sense.
no neglect, no concerns. That is
Get
the
him out of the
state
house,
William
though.
and Teresa's relationship. Finally, Wanda Hamilton. She said
That's
that
a night
Teresa
out
would
for
reach out
her.
for help. And they would
How's
help
that
her.
for you, Tony?
She wasn't isolating him. No abuse, no neglect, no concerns. That is the state of their relationship when they were in Charlotte. That's the real state of the relationship. And that is what the state wants you to base your verdict off of. The state wants to make it look like William was a happy-go-lucky child before Teresa came back into town. When Teresa got in his life, he was quiet and sullen. And that's not backed up by the timeline or the evidence in this case. Witnesses have said that. And I think that goes to show the filter and the warped view and the bias they have against Teresa, because we have evidence from Ava. She was there for 4 years with him. William passed away when he was 6. So we're talking 2.5 on. She's there from then. The beautiful child that Ava knew, Teresa was his mother. The child that liked to laugh and play with trucks, she raised him. The child that could read an encyclopedia at 5, that is her kid.
There goes the snowplow and the dump truck.
Ava's of William all happened while he was living with her. She didn't come back to his life and he shut down. That's not what Ava told you. I'd like to talk about the father, William Hamilton. He wanted to get on the stand and act like all of his absences as a father were because of Teresa. Said that he was available to take William when Teresa went to Atlanta. That's what he said. And that's not true. The judge
did
told
William
you
make it
exactly
to
when he
Atlanta?
wasn't available. He wasn't available from October 14th of 1998 through March 3rd, 1999. The exact same time frame we're talking about in this case when Teresa went to Atlanta. 2 months before she left, he is not available to help. He's never been available to help. He then started talking about child support. He sat on the stand under oath and told you that Teresa was taking out child support payments from his check after William had passed away.
Yeah, that's
He then heard
pretty
a
much
statement.
it. Almost a hopeless cause.
And we learned he just sat there and lied. His statement was to the same DeKalb district attorney, the investigators that came to talk to him said, yeah, she tried to get child support from me, but it didn't do any good. I didn't have any money. So it's taken a leap from 2022 to 2024. Now it's that she was getting money. This whole thing is a lie. The state found a manager from a burned down strip club in Atlanta, Georgia, to come talk to you. They brought you school records from William from North Carolina from 1998. They found a responding officer, Mr. Gaskew, who hasn't been a cop for 20 years. If Teresa filed for child support after William passed away, that would have been the first piece of evidence they brought. Either from the clerk of court, from William Hamilton's bank records, they would have moved heaven and earth to get that evidence. It doesn't exist because it is all a lie. He then said that one time, because he always tried to go see his son, one time he got there and Teresa pulled a gun on him. That's a lie too. Because if you want your son and you want visitation with your son and you want contact or custody of your son and the child's mother has now pulled a gun on you, you call the police. That's how you get access to your son. You say, hey, his mother's not letting me around and now she's pulling guns on me. I'm just trying to be a good father. He didn't call the police because that didn't happen. He just made it up. He seems like, and I'll grant him this, he seems like he may have gotten.
So they're just
together as a
saying
father.
everybody's lied?
He seems to
That's what he's
be
saying?
involved in his children's lives, and I'm happy about that. But he wasn't involved in William's life. And it's not because of Teresa. And you probably feel some guilt about that now. This man lived 12 minutes down the road. In a 4-year span, he saw William once. I bet he feels some guilt about that. He could have tried to get custody. He didn't. He could have tried to get the court to impose visitation. He didn't. He's on the birth certificate. The state showed it to you. William Hamilton did not care about being a father to William. The state said in opening from the beginning that remains are not the only evidence in this case. You can take circumstances of the relationship between William and Teresa, like how she's treating him, and use that instead. The circumstances of the relationship, and this is what they bring you. Multiple witnesses who had no concerns about Teresa being violent towards William. This is what the state wants you to base your whole verdict on. And this is enough? What the Charlotte witnesses said? No way. We then heard from some witnesses from DeKalb County. First, we heard from Marie Dial. She was the day shift manager at Pleasers when it was open. The only thing they proved with Marie Dial is that Teresa at some point worked there. And we know that she worked there for a very short amount of time. None of the girls even knew her. She doesn't know when. We do know that she has to have a license to work there. We know that she got a license in Georgia on June 23rd of 1999. Now, stepping aside here, the state says that this demonstrates her disconnect, that she got a license on her son's birthday. If that's their argument, this represents the desperation of the state. If that's evidence of murder and that's what they've got.
I don't think they're saying that's evidence of M.
We know she got her license on June 23rd,
They're saying that it's
1999.
suspicious. AF.
Multiple months after we know William's body has been discovered. There's no evidence that she had any license in Georgia before that. Officer McClendon told you that. There's no evidence of her having a license in North Carolina. We know she didn't drive. Again, this is easy evidence for them to get. If we can get people from the 90s, the manager at the strip club, we can't call the North Carolina DMV because she didn't have a license. So she had no ability to work at Pleasers before June of 1999. The state wants this to be the smoking gun of this case. How could she have worked as a dancer at Pleasers if children are allowed? She must have drugged him in the woods because we know that she was working as a dancer. There's no evidence that she danced while William was alive.
What's that got to do with
there
this,
is
mister?
no evidence that she danced while William was alive. In fact, there's evidence to suggest it wasn't possible for her to dance while William was alive.
Well, this is where the medications came in.
Next, we heard from Gary Harris. He's the man who lived across the cemetery. He said at some point he saw a car and two people got in. That's it. Also, I think the state might have been surprised when he pointed on the map where it was, because it was well away from where William's body was found. He doesn't know who these people are. He doesn't know if they're men or women or race or what they look like or what the car looks like. He saw two people get in a car in the middle of the night and drive away. That's it.
Yes, we can, Dandy, for sure. Yeah.
Maybe those people were dumping the couch that we saw in those pictures. Maybe they're throwing something else out. Maybe they're meeting up and doing drugs or something else illicit. I don't know. It doesn't matter. This is a trial for evidence and proof. And we have a man that said in 1999, I saw two people get into a car. That is it. We know that the police and medical examiner at the time were desperate for leads. They didn't have any. And Mr. Harris said that he called it in. So police obviously investigated Mr. Harris's lead. They obviously looked into this and it went nowhere. This has nothing to do with this case. We heard from Ryan Van Sickle from MARTA. Again, I don't know why we heard from him, to be honest. I think the state may be showing you that look how long it takes to get from the women's shelter to Pleasers to Clifton Church Road. But forgot that we don't have any evidence that she was, one, doing anything with the day shelter, the women's day shelter at that location while she was working at Pleasers. We have no evidence that that was while William was alive. And we have no evidence that she was going from Clifton Church Road to Pleasers or the day shelter. Those are 3 points on a map that could be from a year span, and they want to show you she couldn't even get there all in one day. No one said she did, except them. No one said she was working at Pleasers when William passed away. In fact, there's evidence to suggest that's not how it happened. No one suggests, or no one told you in evidence that she was staying or going to the women's day shelter while she was working at Pleasers. She said she was going to shelters. They were downtown. We don't know where she went. We heard from Bessie Brown, woman from Clifton Methodist. She says that she was never aware of homeless people living in those woods.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't look like there would be.
There was no evidence to say that Teresa and William stayed there for even more than one night. Bessie Brown wouldn't have seen this. But she's not evidence that, see?
But your doctor was?
This woman from the church said that she never saw anybody. We're talking about one day in 1999 that she didn't see someone in the woods with no car parked out on the.
I wouldn't be able to live with myself if something like this happened. I wouldn't be able to live. I'd be turning myself in. I would turn myself in. I wouldn't be able to. I'd feel so freaking bad and think I deserve to go to jail. But mind you, I would never put myself or my child in that position. 23 years. Wow.
On the road. Of course she wouldn't have seen this. That's not evidence.
That's what I thought.
From Shirley Baker, who worked at Women's Day.
Yeah, that's what I thought I had heard.
A few years after William passed away. She told you that beds were limited in the metro Atlanta area. She told you that some women slept in the hallways of an office building. She told you that some slept outside of the shelter, in cars or otherwise. The state wants you to believe that in 1998, 1999,
still no action at the courthouse.
They had enough beds for the unhoused. There wasn't an issue. We all, as citizens of DeKalb County, know that it's certainly
I just noticed that.
Everyone has their experience in life with this.
Okay, American, it's on.
Ms. Baker told you that beds were limited. We heard from Mr. Gaskew, first officer on the scene. Mr. Gaskew told you that there was no apparent attempt to conceal the body.
Dumping it in the middle of the woods is concealing.
We just make igloos and hide them there in Canada. You know how that goes.
Teresa saying,
in my opinion,
she put a blanket or a sweatshirt over a jacket. I don't know what she put over him when he passed, or if that was while he was sleeping. It wasn't left on him because it wasn't there. They told you about every piece of clothing when we were in those woods. A jacket wasn't left on William. It was nowhere in pictures. It was nowhere when they had cadets come out and look at every inch of those woods. Teresa did not put a jacket or a blanket or a coat over William.
So this is the defense, Maxie.
We heard from Detective Harvey.
Previous recording.
Detective Harvey says that in 1999,
best stuff
he's not able
ever.
to tell you how the child died.
So, Dandy, could I have
How
that
the
stuff?
child died now. He said there's a juice can.
Or
you heard the stipulation. There was nothing in that juice can. There was no cocaine, like a crack pipe, like Detective Harvey suggested. There was no Tylenol. There was no Benadryl. This was a juice can.
Damn straight.
And now the state wants to say this couldn't have been his juice can because it was dented.
I have
His
a
leg was
wolf
on it.
personally.
We know that his remains, his body, his skull were moved. Officers talked about that was in an odd position that they believed to be from animal scavenging. The fact that the juice is dented means that they didn't sleep there. Makes no sense. And if this is his juice, it shows that they did sleep there.
I'm not impressed with
You don't go
what he's coming out
to dump a body and bring a can of juice with you and dump that as well. That doesn't make any sense. Again, Detective Harvey told you that there was no apparent attempt to conceal the body. William's body was not partially buried. William's body was certainly not burned.
No, but I do believe he was left there to hide him.
Pine straw, nothing. It was sitting on top of the pine straw.
I wear my Harley shirt and jump on my wolf, and off I go.
Woody
Personal
Hall, the
opinion, as
medical
always.
examiner investigator, told you as well. No attempt to conceal the body. Mr. Hall was the first person that really started talking about animal scavenging to us. Listen, I know you probably had no idea when you got your jury summons that we would have to talk about animal scavenging of a child's remains. And I'm very sorry that that is true. I'm very ready to be done talking about that as well. I know it's hard to listen to, but we have to talk about it. Mr. Hall told you that the zygomatic arch was never found. This is because it was taken by an animal. They sifted through soil all around the body. Mr. Hall said they would go down 18 to 24 inches through the ground. They were able to find teeth. They were able to find finger bones, tiny bones, because they sifted and looked. That bone wasn't there because that bone was carried off.
You can drive smart cars underneath our
We
moves
know
north.
that the skull was moved certainly from the body, at least 10 feet. We know that the jaw, the mandible, was also found several inches from the rest of the skull. There was damage all over the mandible. There was damage on this corner of his jaw and this bone right here.
And
This is animal scavenging. All of the evidence here points to this. There is no evidence that points anyone to the fact that this is something different.
I don't think there's
possibility.
anything proving
We can't prove it.
animal
It's a possibility.
scavenging.
That's as much as they
You
get.
know, maybe not to the point he's explaining
And that's
anyway.
what Dr. Tice told you. Meredith Tice came, the forensic anthropologist. She said this can absolutely be animal scavenging.
Oh, is that our
She was
doctor?
part of the team in 2013 that said this damage was post-mortem.
Yeah, I didn't end up there
I want to be
himself.
clear.
You're exactly right.
That 2013 University of South Florida team didn't say could be either. They gave an opinion. Dr. Gallup told you this was their opinion, and we showed it to you on the screen. They gave an opinion that this damage was post-mortem caused by animal scavenging. That's in 2013, when they had the remains sent to them, along with the pictures. That was their opinion. And Dr. Tice was a part of that team. She signed that report. She signed it.
But that doesn't mean he didn't have foul
She also
play to
said
end
on
his life.
December 8th of this year, after viewing the skeleton again,
Yeah.
that this was post-mortem damage. She didn't even mention perimortem, ante-mortem, pre-mortem. This was post-mortem. On December 13th of this year, 5 days after publishing one report, she comes back and says,
I agree,
it
Max.
is possible this damage was due to perimortem trauma. It is possible. And she cites the lack of scraping specifically on this bone, on the zygomatic arch.
So why would they only scavenge that one little
Again,
spot?
she says
That
she
doesn't make sense either.
brought in this new idea because she finally looked at the pictures. These are
How long
pictures
was
the
that, guys?
professors
Not
were sent.
long, like
These are pictures that the team
6
was
weeks?
sent at
Was
the
it
University of
something like
South
that?
Florida. These aren't new pictures. These are pictures they've already looked at.
And then unidentified for 23
Dr.
years.
Gallup told you that he sends pictures. Of course he sends the pictures. He doesn't tell people what's in them. He's hiring somebody to review the case. He sends the whole case.
Ah, okay. 3
We
to
also
6
learned
months.
that the skeleton that Dr. Tice viewed had been altered from the
Our
clay.
resident expert on the case
And
is
there's
Dan
clay and
D.
cotton filling in the gaps on that mandible and other locations where the bone was no longer there, where the bone was gone from gnawing. Dr. Turner told you and showed you the pictures from the scene and the pictures from Dr. Tice's review. There was clay on the ends, covering up even more fraying of the end of that bone. We're not talking about fraying of a bone on his hand. We're talking about a bone that goes right here. And this is where the bone was broken. Come on.
Come on.
But the state wants to rest on, it's possible. It's possible that it was around the time he died or before he died. It's possible. The state doesn't get to convict people with it's possible.
But you wanted us to listen to your doctor's BS last night.
That was horrible.
Come on, buddy. What
It's a
was
little
that?
bit of inside baseball, but in the criminal law world, it's possible theories are used by defense attorneys who don't have a very good case.
Which is exactly what
Because normally in a normal trial,
doing.
evidence is presented to support a theory of guilt. And what defense attorneys do is they say, I need to come up with, in this evidence, an alternative. So they come up here and with every witness, they say, you can't say that. it's
I agree,
impossible."
Dandy.
And of course, because our world is messy and things aren't certain, witnesses say, well, yeah, it's possible. And they come up here in closing arguments and they say they didn't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt because this is possible. The state doesn't get to convict people with it's possible. That's because the burden is on the state. I think it can probably be very easy sitting through a week of trial, especially if this is a first one and you don't have experience with this, to imagine that these two tables are the same. That the trial is a competition between two tables, the state and the defense. And it's about which table brings you the best story, which table you like more.
No.
Which one
Who's got
you
the
believe more.
accurate information?
It's natural. I think this is how we deal with things in life when we're faced with two options. We watch a football game and it starts 0-0, and the two teams see who can score the most points. This trial is not about who scores the most points. We are not the same. On this table rests the burden of proof, and it's heavy. It's not about
You
who
guys have
scores the most points in
nothing,
your eyes.
Mr.
It's not about
Defense
who you like
Attorney.
more.
This is lame.
In order to shake that burden and convict Teresa, they have to prove each and every element. That burden's not on that table. That's how our system is designed.
Yep.
This table doesn't get to live on it's possible.
You want
They have
to,
to
though,
prove
buddy?
this indictment. They have to prove it beyond.
I really
reasonable
don't like
doubt.
this
I wanna
guy.
talk to you
He's
about
not
what
very
this is.
likable.
The judge is going to read you the law. It's a big packet of all the laws that she's going to read you. But reasonable
I know,
doubt.
Dandy. Yeah, he's hard
it
to
is
watch,
simple.
isn't he?
It's a doubt that you can give a reason for. I'm going to say that again. Reasonable doubt means a doubt that you can give a reason for. If you're looking at this evidence,
He talks in circles.
your mind is wavering about what really happened. If you are unsatisfied with the evidence, unsettled, that is reasonable doubt. If you have these doubts, you are required to find Teresa not guilty.
I don't
The
think
state's
there's
going
much
to rely on the
doubt.
fact that they don't have to prove
Sir.
this case to a mathematical certainty, and that's true. But they do have to prove it to such a certainty that you don't have any possible reason to doubt their story. Their theory, their case needs to leave you so satisfied that you can't think of a reason to doubt their case. This is a heavy burden. And they are going with, it's possible. The judge will
You
tell
are
that
going
even if
with
you
it's
have a
possible.
grave suspicion
I just don't
that
like
Teresa
this
is
guy.
guilty.
He's bad
That's
at
not
his
enough.
job, in my opinion.
This is a heavy burden. And we're nowhere close.
Whatever.
Teresa told you what happened. In her statement, she said, I know I shouldn't have left, but I didn't hurt him. That morning, Teresa woke up to every parent's worst nightmare. The person Teresa was the night she went to sleep is not the same person she was when she woke up that morning. She is a person who has lost a child. The agony she felt paralyzed her. She stayed with him all day, praying for a miracle that he would wake up, but knowing that he was gone.
Whatever.
Eventually, she began to walk, and it was the only thing she could bring herself to do.
Every time I hear him with BS, I should
Teresa
be like,
Black, as you have witnessed her in court, and this woman sitting in this chair is not the woman that's on trial.
Yeah, well said.
The person on trial is a 21-year-old single mother. She found herself alone in Charlotte. Her father had moved away. Her mother had passed away. She wanted a change. She wanted a different life.
Exactly.
So she moved to Georgia with her son. Things didn't work out like she thought they would. She ran out of money quickly. She was scrambling to keep her son safe. She didn't want to sleep in the city streets with him. She couldn't keep him safe around other people. So she took the bus to a safer location. They were
Well
eating
done.
out of dumpsters. And she gave him some medicine, over-the-counter medicine, because he didn't feel good. She didn't know what was happening to him any more than any of the doctors who testified in this trial know what happened.
whatever.
One morning, he doesn't wake up. She sits with him all day. By
Well,
the
that's
time
what
she
you
starts
do.
walking, in her mind, it's already too late. She's
Yeah.
afraid people will think that she killed him. She's afraid people will think that she hurt him, and she knows she didn't.
Mm-hmm.
As days go by, she starts to get stuck. Now, no one will believe her. Everyone will assume the worst. This 21-year-old makes a terrible decision. And it
I can
starts
agree
to
with that.
snowball. It starts to get out of her what she thinks, I can't go back now. At some point, she goes from not telling anyone to being faced with a decision. And she lies.
Oh, does
She sure
it?
does.
She gets back to Charlotte. People ask her directly, where's William?
Mm-hmm.
She makes a decision and she lies. The
Oh, well,
lies start to
funny.
compound. They begin to snowball out of control. And then 23 years later, she's chained to a table. And two cops start asking her questions.
It's hard to listen to you, Dandy, isn't it? Like it's
about the nightmare she's been living with for, at this point, over half of her life.
She left
didn't tell the
her
truth.
unalive child in a spot
You
behind a cemetery in the middle of a forest.
all can hate her for this.
Mm-hmm.
You can hate her for these lies.
Yep.
That is not what Teresa Black is on trial for.
Uh-huh. She's pretty
The
noble.
state's entire case has been an attempt to make you hate Teresa Black.
People
And I
do
think
really sick shite. It's
that was
just
not a difficult thing for them. We as a
It's usually-
society don't like a mother lying about their child passing. We as a society
No.
don't like a mother not reporting a child's death.
No.
We don't.
No. No, we
And
don't.
they need you to feel so strongly about that. Feel so strongly about these emotions that you look past the science. Because without emotions, this case is nothing. Without the emotional spin that they want to put on this case and make you feel, this case is nothing. It's time to talk about what Teresa is really on trial for. Teresa is being charged 6 counts.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them are felony murder.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Felony murder is 2 things, 2 prongs. It is that you caused the death of another by committing a felony. So it is a felony a felony happened, and that felony caused the death. It's important that that felony caused the death and not just that a death occurred. Each felony murder count is therefore paired with a second felony. In this case, she's charged with felony murder in 2 different ways. The first is count 1. In count 1, she is charged
He's
with
talking
felony
longer than
murder
I expected him to, but it's just, in
causing
my mind,
William's
verbal
death
diarrhea again.
by committing cruelty to children by not seeking medical attention. So in count 1, she's charged with causing his death by committing count 2, that cruelty to children.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So
yesterday.
to find her guilty of this count, you must find beyond a reasonable doubt that she committed cruelty to children by not seeking medical care, count 2,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
that this act is what caused William's death.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
This is count 2. This is that cruelty to children count.
So there's 6,
For
remember,
failing to
guys.
seek medical treatment for William Hamilton. I want to talk about the elements of this. Because to find her guilty of 1, you need to find her guilty of 2. Here's how that thought process goes. To find someone guilty of cruelty to children in 1st degree, you must find that that person maliciously caused cruel and excessive physical or mental pain to a child under 18, and here, by failing to seek medical treatment for William Hamilton. Malice, the state talked about it briefly, but malice is an intent to cause that pain. I want to be very clear with that. This is not an intent to not seek medical care. Well, we know she intended to not seek medical care. That's intent. Malice means an intent, and that action was intended to cause that pain or willfully did that while aware of a strong likelihood that pain may result. For this,
I hope so.
to find her guilty of cruelty to children for not seeking medical treatment, you have to find that Teresa didn't take William to the doctor because she wanted him to experience this cruel and excessive pain, or she didn't take him to the doctor while aware of a strong likelihood that he was going to experience cruel and excessive pain.
She did not care.
Next, we have count 3, our second felony murder. This is the felony murder that is attached to count 4, the Tylenol
Exactly.
benzyl cruelty count. Again, to find her guilty of felony murder, count 3, we must find beyond a reasonable doubt both that she is guilty of cruelty to children by giving him diphenhydramine and acetaminophen, and that this act caused William's death.
Very little doubt.
This is the cruelty for the acetaminophen and diphenhydramine. Again, maliciously caused. So you must believe that Teresa Black, and you must believe the state proved it beyond a reasonable doubt, that Teresa Black gave William acetaminophen and diphenhydramine maliciously with the intent that he experience severe pain or injury, or did it aware that there was a significant likelihood that he would experience a severe pain or injury. Count 5 is aggravated assault. For this, you must believe that while William was alive, she hit him with some object in the face. The
It would explain by why
language here is that she caused
that area would be chosen.
serious bodily injury by striking said victim in the head.
In my opinion.
So you must find an assault to another person with an offensive or deadly weapon. Count 6 is concealing the death of another. To find her guilty of concealing the death of another, you must find that she did something to conceal his body, which hindered the discovery if he was unlawfully killed, and that this happened in DeKalb County. So the fact that it did take time for William's body to be found does not automatically satisfy this charge. Teresa, you have to believe beyond a reasonable doubt that Teresa concealed, that she did something to conceal this body. Now, I'd like to talk about all of these in turn. I'd like to start with the cruelty to children for not seeking medical care. Again, the state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Teresa did not seek medical treatment either on purpose, so William would experience severe pain, or she did it on purpose, knowing that by not seeking medical treatment, he would suffer severe pain. For this charge, we should look to the doctors. They are the ones that provided any medical evidence about what was happening with William. We heard from two experts, Dr. Gallup from DeKalb County and Dr. Turner from St. Louis. And they both told you the same thing. Teresa told police that William was gagging and lethargic. Both experts knew what Teresa said William was suffering from. They knew what his symptoms were. And they told you several things that would often display with the same symptoms. Pneumonia, or food poisoning, or a cold, or the flu, or a virus, or an infection.
Unreal, yeah. Like every excuse under the moon.
It could have caused William's death. Things that Teresa wouldn't have seen coming. Things that Teresa wouldn't have had a knowledge of a strong likelihood that it would cause pain. Things like an undiagnosed seizure disorder, undiagnosed diabetes, heart conditions, brain conditions, dehydration, sepsis.
She left him in the woods.
These are all things they have experienced as doctors. They said that it could be two things at once. He could have had a cold. He could have been tired because he didn't eat that day. And something unforeseen could have happened that caused his death. The doctors do not know what happened to William. Dr. Gowett told you that he had over 40 doctors look over this case. From the time William was identified until now, he's had 40 doctors review this case. They don't know what happened either. How is it fair for the state to expect you to know what happened? Both of these felony murders require causation. You committed this specific felony which caused the death. I want to ask again, how is the state expecting you to know what caused William's death when 42 doctors that we know of don't? No one knows what happened. And remember, this is not about looking back in hindsight, that Teresa should have taken William to the doctor, and we only know that because, well, it was serious enough that he passed away. It's not about looking backwards. It's not about what would have been best. The state has to prove Teresa didn't take him to the doctor in order to cause him pain intentionally, or that she refused to take him to the doctor while being aware of a strong likelihood that severe pain would happen.
Boom.
That's cruelty.
Damn straight.
The doctors don't even know if there was severe pain, much less if Teresa knew anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Jackson brought up something at the beginning when she was talking about reasonable doubt, and I feel like I need to point this out. She said, is it reasonable for a parent to not take their kid to the doctor?
No.
I don't know if it was as an illustration of reasonable doubt or what, but the standard here is not, we find Teresa guilty because a reasonable parent would have taken her to the doctor. That's not the standard here. It's, did she do it with malice? That's the standard.
Yes. I believe so. I believe
With so many potential causes. With so many potential causes that could happen like that.
I have the best mods
cause
ever.
a child to pass away. A parent has no idea their child is in any danger of receiving any significant pain. They would have no idea they needed medical care.
He's an irritant.
Let's look at what Teresa saw. Her recounting of William's symptoms is the only recounting we have. It's one of those times that the state discounts Teresa's statement until she says something they want or need, and then they believe that part. The only thing we have about William's symptoms are what Teresa told us. We have nausea, causing him to experience some sort of gagging. And we have acting lethargic. Now, Ms. Jackson stretched that out a little bit, saying there were 7 symptoms that he could no longer walk or talk. She didn't say he lost the ability to walk or lost the ability to talk. It's that he didn't want to get up. He didn't want to talk. He was lethargic. He was tired.
Yeah.
This is every virus a kid gets.
Take him to the doctor.
6-year-olds get sick
Yeah.
all the time.
And you take him
And
to
this
the
is what it looks like.
doctor.
Gagging and feeling lethargic is what we have. Dr. Goward agrees with that. This could have been a cold. This could have been a virus that didn't kill him.
True that.
We don't charge parents for not taking their kids to the hospital when they're gagging or feeling tired.
But you do if they
That's
pass away.
ridiculous. And that's what we
Due
have
to
here.
that.
We have the state looking in hindsight. Well, this child died. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for the malicious intent required by the statute. Doesn't matter. We can't look back and say this was serious because he died, we have to look at what Teresa knew and intended to do before he died.
She filled him full of stuff
Counts
and then
3 and 4,
dropped his
cruelty of
remains
the acetaminophen and
in the bush.
diphenhydramine. Here's what we know
In
about
my
these two
opinion.
drugs in this case. When given a toxic dose, these drugs can be dangerous and cause death.
Yes.
So, how much was William given? We do not know. We have no idea. Dr. Jackson told you he has no idea how much of these
Unreal, Dan.
medications William had. Dr. Gallup told you he has no idea that comparing skeletal muscle to dosage or blood is comparing apples and bananas. Dr. Turner told you the same thing. It could have been a toxic dose. It could have been a therapeutic dose, meaning the correct dose for a child of William's age and size. It could have been an underdose, meaning not enough medicine to even do any good, much less harm. A therapeutic dose and an underdose would not have any ill effects on William. It would not cause pain. It would not cause toxicity.
I think that's exactly
like
what it
Dr.
sounds
Gonzalez
like.
told you, William had a genetic liver disorder where a therapeutic dose could have caused,
It's very
could have been deadly.
infuriating, Andy.
And if that's true, Teresa's still not guilty because there's no strong likelihood that giving an
Pushing my
appropriate
button.
dose of Tylenol is going to cause severe pain. So all the doctors agree that we have no idea what dose William received. The state wants you to say that there is proof beyond a reasonable doubt that he received a toxic dose and that Teresa did it all on purpose. She intended for him to feel the pain with that Tylenol. No doctor is ever able to say how.
Any one of us that have had really, really crappy mothers just want to see this woman pay for what she's done. I mean, whatever would put a person in the position where their head will allow them to think that this is okay. And I don't know, 23 years, she just carried on with life. It doesn't sound like someone who cared about her child, not in any way, shape, or form. She had people saying that, well, calling people and saying that it was him. She had 1,000 different stories as to where he was. And she acted shocked when she was arrested. It's just, I don't know. I'd like to see her fry.
How much of those medicines William received, and the state wants you to pick. They want you to say, despite getting no evidence of it, we say beyond a reasonable doubt that he received an overdose of these two medications.
Well, it's really looking bad.
Their pharmacist, Dr. Gonzalez, said, well, these symptoms are consistent with toxicity from these two drugs. Yeah. We're also consistent with everything else that Dr. Gallup listed out. We went on and on. Yeah, I would expect those symptoms from that. That means it's also consistent with pneumonia and consistent with a cold. It's still no more evidence. When your symptoms are gagging and feeling lethargic, it's consistent with so much. No evidence here points in any direction of the dosage that William received. That's reasonable doubt. Right there. When you're back there and you're deliberating, and you said, did the state prove beyond a reasonable doubt?
It makes my brain hurt.
William received enough Tylenol or Benadryl that would have caused him excessive and cruel pain, mental or physical. The moment you say, well, he could have had a trace dose, and this is the same, would be the same exact result, then that's done. That charge is done. That's reasonable doubt. And you're not making that up. I'm not sitting up here saying it's a possibility, though. I'm saying the doctor sat right here and said, I can't tell you which one it was. That's reasonable doubt. We have a trace, a therapeutic, and a toxic. We have no evidence to suggest which one's which. We have no evidence to suggest this is what caused William to die because his symptoms are consistent with so many different things. That's reasonable doubt. Ms. Hodder's cross-examination of Dr. Turner, she spent quite a while with Dr. Turner asking her to read medical labels, medicine labels. These are all medicines that Ms. Hodder said she purchased herself when she went to the pharmacy during trial in 2024. She was asking a lot of questions about medications that doesn't provide us anything. All of her questions on that cross-examination. And how do we know that? If she had real questions that she wanted to ask about these medications, she would have asked those questions of her own witness, the pharmacist. Because Dr. Turner didn't provide any different opinion on these drugs than Dr. Gowett or Dr. Jackson. She said, when I asked her questions, it could be toxic, it could be therapeutic, it could be trace. She did the same thing. She didn't say something outlandish apart from the other doctors, but Ms. Hodder got up and went for half an hour asking her questions about these medications. Why not have your pharmacist answer those questions? Well, because she wasn't looking for any real answers when she did that. She wasn't looking for anything that would help you. She was trying to score points with a dramatic cross-examination. Because the truth is, Dr. Turner or her own experts, pharmacist, toxicologist, medical examiner, they don't know what dosage William received. Also, she didn't ask any questions about what was available in 1999. That would have been a question for the pharmacist. What drugs were available on the shelf in 1999?
Couldn't he have asked that
Her
same
own
question?
expert that she flew in from California to come talk to you about drugs. He's been doing this since 1980. We don't know what the dosages were then. Not that they matter, because we don't know what he received. We don't know what the labels said. We don't know what
You just
section of the
contradicted
pharmacy they were
yourself.
in. We don't know if there
Total
was
contradiction.
children's medicine that had both. We don't know if it was a lozenge or anything. They didn't ask those questions because they didn't want real answers. They wanted drama. They wanted to put Dr. Turner on the spot, make her read directions and labels, and pretend that it's proof that a medicine says keep out of reach of children. That should put Teresa on high alert. Every medicine says that.
But you say on high alert, you're dealing with a kid.
This was all smoke and mirrors.
He's a kid, was a
And
kid.
it's another example of the state not giving you any evidence because there isn't any. It's not that they would choose to not give you evidence. It's not that they would choose to instead have to have a dramatic cross-examination. It's because that evidence doesn't exist to convict Teresa.
That's what I said.
Before we move on from these 4 counts, the murder and the cruelties, I'd like to remind you of what Dr. Gowett said in his testimony. It's the last thing I asked him. No evidence to call this a homicide in 1999. No cause of death. No evidence to call it one now. Dr. Turner said there was no evidence to suggest this was a homicide. There's no evidence that points them in that direction at all. There's no evidence that points them in the direction of William died because his mother maliciously didn't seek medical treatment, or that William died because his mother maliciously overdosed him on Tylenol or Benadryl. There's not even evidence that pushes them in that direction over other options. That's reasonable doubt. These are experts in their field. Rely on them. And they're not my experts. Dr. Turner was mine. We called her in. We wanted to give you an outside opinion, somebody that didn't work in this case. Dr. Gowett is the medical examiner in DeKalb County, called by the state. And he cannot tell you how this child died. And the state wants you to ignore that and say, yeah, but his mom was rude in Charlotte. So we're going to ignore it. Yeah, his mom didn't give him Halloween candy, or his mom pushed him in the chest twice. So we
You don't push your kids.
Anyway.
You don't
Well,
touch
yeah, his
your
mom
kids.
lied after he was dead.
Red
So
flag.
forget what Dr. Gowett, Dr. Jackson, Dr. Gonzalez, Dr. Turner say. Because she lied about it to police when she was handcuffed to a table. That's the leap they want you to make. Count 5 is aggravated assault, and this is the most ridiculous charge in this indictment. But it illustrates that the district attorney, they're not truth seekers like Investigator McClendon says they are. From the very beginning, there were signs of animal scavenging. That is what the experts believed when they looked at it, and there was no evidence to say it wasn't. Woody Hall was the first to mention it. Skull completely detached and dragged over 10 feet away from the rest of the body. Again, I hate to keep talking about this. I hate to keep having to pretend William is those bones. When he was so much more than just that, but we have to talk about it because the state has indicted her for breaking one of them.
Oh, there she is. Oh my God.
William's jaw was also separated from the skull, and it had damage all over it. We talked about the bones that come under your cheekbone when you open your mouth. Those were damaged. The balls of the jaw, those were damaged. The corners of your jaw, those were damaged. The nasals, those were damaged. The zygomatic arch, that was damaged. We're talking both sides of his face. He was missing other bones. He was missing a rib. He was missing fingers. He was missing, I think, a tooth. Why not charge her with injuring those? There's just as much evidence. The only evidence here is that a bone was broken. So why not charge her with hitting him in the ribs too? A rib had come detached. There is no evidence to suggest that Teresa caused this injury by striking William with an offensive object. It's complete speculation. It's complete guess. The only person, again, that said anything different than animal scavenging was Dr. Tice when she said it's possible. It was before he passed. She said that on December 13th of this year. Said because when she viewed the pictures, there was no scraping or
I still don't think
despite
this
being
guy
everywhere
is
else
making a
around
difference.
that bone.
He's not changing my mind
Again,
in
these are the
one.
pictures that she viewed, her team
Not
viewed
even
in
that much.
2013.
Nope.
And she signed her name to it.
Egghead.
She still can't say that it's not animal scavenging, just that it's possible that it
Ay,
happened before he died. The only thing they've ever been able to say is that it's possible. And they don't get to use it's possible to convict someone. This charge is ridiculous, but it is important. It's important to illustrate what the DeKalb County District Attorney is willing to do. They will ignore the science, even from their own experts, to get a conviction when they want one. At the very beginning, Lieutenant Quigley said he was brought into this case. The DA was really excited about this new lead. Forget truth seeking. They want another chance to get Teresa. They have a broken bone, so they looked at this indictment and said, throw another one on there. We'll see if something sticks. They have to prove this beyond a reasonable doubt. The best they can ever do is ignore the experts that say, looks like animal scavenging, jump
Not
straight
everybody
on to the
said
one
that,
person that says
mister.
it's possible, And then jump from there to get to reasonable doubt is to say, yeah, but she pushed him once in the chest. She pushed him into a chair. See? Goes from it's possible to beyond a reasonable doubt because of the things that Ava said weren't serious and not a big deal and weren't abuse. This is not how our system works. That's not truth seeking. Finally, I'm going to talk about concealing the death of another. I'm going to guess this count has been in your mind the entire trial. On its face, this count seems like the only one the state has provided any evidence for. Yeah, it did take a long time for someone to find his body. That must mean it was concealed. The truth is they have not provided any additional evidence above any of the other counts. To find someone guilty of concealing the death of another, you need to find
There goes
that
with
they
that again.
concealed it, that they hid it, or that they attempted to conceal it. And then the second prong is you must find that that did hinder the discovery of whether that person was unlawfully killed. If you believe
Who
that
dumps
Teresa
their
woke
6-year-old
up
in
and William was
the
dead in
bush?
those woods, and she is not guilty of concealing.
Yeah, it's disturbing when
If
he
you believe
goes
that's
here.
a possibility that
Like,
you can
what?
give a reason for. And your reason is there's no evidence pointing otherwise, or that's what she said. If you have a reason to say that that's what happened, then she's not guilty for concealing, for leaving him in the woods. Again, they have to prove that she dumped him there.
She did.
They have to rely on Gary Harris. They have to say that was her and some accomplice, and they dumped him deep in the woods. Multiple witnesses have told you there was no apparent attempt at concealment. Woody Hall, Officer Gaskew, Detective Harvey. Again, there was no jacket laid on him.
Hey, James, good to see you.
Another way that a person can be found guilty of concealing the death of another is if they lie or mislead about the whereabouts of a person who is deceased. And the problem with the state's case here, they have to prove that deception, just like they have to prove that act of concealment, they have to prove that deception took place in DeKalb County. So the 2 days worth of combined witnesses that told you about Teresa lying about where
We are, I just looked, we're at 6 hours when it comes to the verdict watch. So there has been no more questions put to the court yet since the last ones we covered. But yeah, we're at 6 hours and 33 seconds, which includes yesterday as well.
William was. When Teresa went into that gas station in Charlotte and they said, "Where's William?" And she said, "He's staying with friends or family." That is concealing. And that is
Oh
concealing
my
in Charlotte, North
God.
Carolina.
I mean, it is. It's
You
disturbing,
can charge
isn't
her
it?
there. That's the appropriate place. That's a crime. Happened in Charlotte. Queese Black said it happened in Alaska. Fine. Maybe you say it happened in Phoenix, which she didn't tell officers right away. Fine. The only time we have Teresa talking about William's location was the phone call with Ava. Now this, Ava told you that it was a week after Teresa left. Investigator McClendon told you it was 3
I'd have
days.
to agree, James.
So Teresa spoke with her once. For you to find Teresa Black guilty of concealing the death of another for lying about William's whereabouts in that one phone call with Ava, you have to believe beyond a reasonable doubt William was already deceased.
James.
And that phone call took place in DeKalb County. Now, the state's evidence is she said she lived in Decatur. Must have been Decatur. Couldn't have been Fulton. She said Decatur. That's not beyond a reasonable doubt. She told detectives, and they said, "Where did you live?" Atlanta. Where Atlanta? Decatur, I think. That's not her saying I was in Decatur 3 days after I got there, or 3 days after I left on a Greyhound bus. We have no idea where this phone booth was. We have no way to know where that was. She didn't say, "Is Teresa calling from DeKalb County?" Certainly not. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt what county it was in. They showed you the special circumstances in that when there's evidence that a crime took place in more than one county, then either county is fine for reasonable doubt. There was one phone call. They didn't move that phone booth mid-phone call to multiple counties. One phone call where you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt it was in DeKalb County. You have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that William has passed away at that point. There's a special circumstance on criminal homicide that it's proper where the body was found, and that is for murder charges. That is because for murder, you have to charge the person in the county where the cause of that death happened. If you shoot someone and they get into a car and drive away and they die in a different county, and we don't know where that death happened or that cause of death happened, murder is fine to be where the body lies. That's not for concealing the death of another. There's no special rule here that has to happen in DeKalb County. So we are left with 6 counts, none of which have any evidence that point you beyond a reasonable doubt of anything. In fact, most of them rely on experts saying, "I have no idea." When I sit down, I'm not going to be able to get back up and talk to you anymore. It's the way this works. Those are the rules. I have to just sit there. I'm going to be relying on you to remember the evidence with your own memories and your notes and the notes and memories of your fellow jurors. The evidence is not what I say it is, Ms. Jackson, Ms. Hodder. It's what you heard from the witness stand. But I don't get to come back up. So to talk about what their argument is going to be, I really just have to guess. Based on some of the questions that they have asked, I'm going to take a stab at it. I expect the state has crafted a very creative story. And I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that their story, they've crafted it in a way that everything they say is possible. But when they tell you what they think happened, I want you to watch the leaps that they take, the assumptions that they make. Ask yourself, when they make those leaps, what evidence are they basing this on? What evidence are they ignoring? Here's potentially a story the state could tell when Ms. Hodder gets up here. That the state believes that Teresa wanted rid of William. That she came to Atlanta, found William was a nuisance. Evidently, William was getting in the way of her dream of dancing at the Pleaser strip club. So every night, for her to go to work, she would drug William in the woods so he would fall asleep. She would leave him somewhere so she could go dance, and then she'd go after and pick him up. One night, William had a rare reaction to Benadryl, became agitated, so she hit him in the face, breaking his zygomatic arch. She, along with some unnamed accomplice that had a car, drove his body to the Clifton Church area and left him in the woods. She convinced this person, who she maybe knew for a couple of days, to help her dump a child's body in the woods, and this person has never told or was never found out. If that's the state's theory, or anything close to that, they are not truth seekers, they are storytellers. If that's the state's theory, and one they are asking you to convict a woman for murder with, they have lost sight of what evidence and proof means. Pay attention when they tell you what they think happened. I don't know what it will be. I made that up as a ridiculous example. But pay attention to how many guesses you have to make, how many leaps you have to make. Because in that story I just told you, you have to take the leap of she either knew someone in Atlanta or she met someone quick enough, formed a relationship that that person would hide a child's murder with her, that she came here and got a job immediately, despite not having a license, started dancing within the first 2 days, and all of this happened with William's death within the second day or so. So she had time to hide the body and then lie to Ava. Think of how many leaps you have to make for that. And again, possible. There's 100 stories I could come up with that are possible. We're talking about beyond a reasonable doubt here. I expect they're going to spend a significant amount of time telling you why Teresa's statement's not believable. Again, this is not about comparing stories. On one hand, you could believe what Teresa told police. On the other, we have the state's story, whatever it is. If you believe Teresa's story, then it's not guilty. If you believe the state's beyond a reasonable doubt, then it's guilty. In the middle, where we don't know what happened, that's not guilty too. That's not proof beyond a reasonable doubt. If you don't know what happened, your job is done. The state of Georgia began their work on this case with a conclusion that Teresa Black was guilty. And they worked backwards, squeezing evidence into whatever story or mold that they are going to give you to tell a ridiculous, albeit exciting story. A story that the news would show up for. A story that they could have press conferences for.
I was really hoping that we would have a little bit of action in the courtroom, but it's not happening yet. I am literally checking like every few minutes. I don't want to miss anything. But yeah, we're still waiting, guys.
A story that people would watch. They were so set in their opinion that they didn't realize the full tragedy of this story. The truth about this case is that it is a tragedy. That this woman lost her baby. And that morning, laying on the pine straw in South DeKalb, this woman was alone and scared. And she messed up.
For what she had just done, maybe.
She didn't tell anyone about William for a day. That day became a week. The week became months and years, and it became 23 years. But she never forgot him.
Just
she never
slipped
stopped
away
regretting
that
that
time.
mistake. She left him, and she hates herself for it. She
But
did
everybody.
not kill him. She did not hurt him. She loved him. I have represented Teresa for a long time now. And
This is all
as
you can come up
attorneys
with.
do, I have done what I can do to protect her as my client. It has been the honor of my career to do that.
There you are.
I'm about to have to sit down,
Do it.
and I don't get to protect her anymore.
Do it.
I am handing Teresa Black's fate to you,
Do it.
and I'm scared.
Oh God.
I'm scared.
Yeah, I'm
that
scared.
This case is emotional, and you hate her, and that will be enough when it shouldn't be. I'm scared that you'll buy that it was possible. The state's story is possible. And you won't follow what reasonable doubt means. I'm scared because I don't
you're
get
an
to
idiot.
do anything else for her.
I love my own comment.
Those are my fears.
Joking.
I know they are.
Holy.
Hard to work with.
What's going on here? Is he frozen?
This guy's just brutal.
And the stakes and the law and the facts. I know you will follow.
That was amazing, Dandy. Oh
I
my
know
God.
you will be truth seekers. And I know you will find Teresa Black not guilty of all 6 charges, because that is the truth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now prosecution back up for their rebuttal, and I think it goes to
I'm going to go through here.
Look at what the child was wearing.
There were a number of articles of clothing that were on the body, and our office is making an effort to run down the lot numbers and stock numbers of the clothing and see where they may have originated.
During their ground search Monday, police recruits found a tooth and clumps of black hair near the place where the child's body was discovered.
That guy wasn't wearing
Investigators say
gloves.
those could be key pieces of evidence as they try to piece together what happened. When Effie Myers picks up her granddaughter after school, the two have to drive right past the cemetery where a child's body was found Friday.
I think it's sad. Someone should have been looking for this child by now.
Yeah.
In an effort to spark someone's memory, the DeKalb County Medical Examiner's Office displayed these size 11 Timberland hiking boots worn by the child. Investigators are now trying to track the lot and stock numbers on the.
This is heartbreaking. All of this going on, and literally she had no care.
No, she did not.
There's still nothing happening in the courtroom.
Black originally lied to investigators who traveled to Arizona to collect a DNA sample from her. Black claimed she left 6-year-old William Hamilton with a woman at a homeless shelter in Atlanta in the late 90s because she was no longer able to care for him. His body was discovered in a wooded area near a small cemetery on Clifton Springs Road in February
I
of
agree.
1999. The 6-year-old's identity remained a mystery for more than 2 decades. Then in 2019, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children released an image of a facial reconstruction of the victim.
Between what they have done with doing this recreation and it all tells a story. It absolutely all tells a story. And it's sickening actually to have a parent that doesn't seem to give two ish. She cries when it's going to help her, but she doesn't seem to have any remorse for what she's done.
A tipster in North Carolina came forward saying she recognized the child as her former neighbor and recalled Black returning to North Carolina without her son.
He died in 1999.
What? No.
Yes.
Black continued to insist she was telling the truth, even after police told her William was dead and they did not believe her story. Midway through the interview, she breaks down and tells investigators the boy died in his sleep in the field where his body was found.
Bullshit. Okay, we're back.
I didn't realize she wasn't here. I would have brought you out yet. Sorry.
We're back. Yep, bullshit. And then another one, add that on to every year he should have been alive. Dandy. It's an interesting courtroom. They don't really have their ish together.
Tell me when you're ready. You're good? Okay. Ready, Ms. Potter?
Yes, Your Honor. Why can't the medical examiners tell you what the cause of death was for William Conklin? Why is that? The reason the medical examiners can't tell you the cause of death is because Teresa Black left his body in a secluded area in the woods, in a place where he had no connections, no family, where people didn't know him, to rot, to be feasted on by animals, to decay. Never lose sight of that. That is why the medical examiners cannot give you a cause of death. And the defense wants you to ignore that very important fact. They want you to forget your role as jurors and give up your duty to determine what happened in this case, and rely upon the experts who can't do their job.
Not that I see.
Because Teresa took evidence.
Oh, I hear the judge. Hold on, hold on.
Exactly.
You heard from the medical.
Hold on.
The defense's medical.
Okay, we'll just stop this because he needs to not talk. Yep. Verdict in. So now we're just waiting for the screen. Let me we got a verdict. Good job. So I'll bring this up as soon as we hear now I'm happy. Now I'm happy. So 6 hours and 20 minutes. As soon as the courtroom opens up, I'll pop it open for you guys. Let me do this. Not that. Yes, I want to go in here. Verdict is in. Okay.
I understand that you have reached a verdict in the case, is that correct? All right, and are you the foreperson?
Yes.
Okay, if you would please put the verdict form in that folder. If it's not already, hand it to me and I'm going to review it and then I'll read it into the record.
Wow.
All right, let's see, make sure this is signed and dated by you as the foreperson, and it is. All right, in the case of the state of Georgia versus Teresa Black, we, the jury, find as to count 1, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Teresa Black, not guilty. As to count 2, cruelty to children, we, the jury, find the defendant, Teresa Black, not guilty.
What?
As to count 3, felony murder, we, the jury, find the defendant, Teresa Black, not guilty. As to count 4, cruelty to children, we, the jury, find the defendant, Teresa Black, not guilty. As to count 5, aggravated assault, we, the jury, find the defendant, Teresa Black, not guilty. As to count 6, concealing the death of another, we, the jury, find the defendant, Teresa Black, guilty. Signed and dated by the foreperson. Deputy, if you would show this to the attorneys, one of you. Okay, if you just give it to the attorneys for the state and for the defense to review.
Well, guys, what do you think? Wow. What do you think? It makes me sick.
All right, anything further from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Does the state want to go forward with sentencing now, or do you want to wait?
We do, Your Honor.
Which one?
Oh, sorry. Move forward.
Okay, all right.
Your Honor, the defense is requesting wait.
You're requesting.
I'm
to wait?
almost numb, guys.
Okay, are there folks that you want to call that are not here? Is that? Okay. Is there any objection to doing that by the state?
We do have the father present, Your Honor. We have
Okay.
Black.
Does he want to be heard today? Oh, it looks like he's walking out the door. He wants to be heard. Okay. I mean, I'll be happy to hear from him today, and he's welcome to come back. So you want to, he just stepped out though, but it looked like.
Whoa, guys.
Yes, Your Honor. Would you like me to check on it?
Yeah, why don't you do that? Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I want to thank you for your service. This concludes your jury service, and we are appreciative of the time and effort that you put forth during this trial. You are welcome to, I guess we're gonna, they want to hold off a little bit, we can hold off a little bit for the sentencing. How much time are you asking for?
Yeah, it can be.
Well, maybe we could do it on, will he be here till Friday? Can he come back? Check with him and see if he can come back. We can do it on Friday.
Oh, that's nauseating. Is this what you guys expected? I knew M was going to be difficult, but I thought all the other stuff was pretty convincing. Well, she can have a big sigh of relief.
All right. Well, regardless of when we do the sentencing,
He's going to
your
think
jury
it's
service
because
is
he did such a
completed.
great
You
job.
all are welcome to leave. If you would, but before you do that, I have your juror letters for you. So if you would step back.
That's right.
Into the jury room for a few moments. And let
That's
me
right,
finish up
friend.
with this, and then I'll come back and bring you your letters, and then you will be free to go. I'll tell you that attorneys often like to get feedback from jurors after the trial. If you are interested in speaking with them, I'm
Yeah,
sure
it is what it
talk to
is.
you. If not, you're under no obligation to talk.
Not
with them.
James.
But all
Yeah, he's
of
looking a little
the
cocky
rules
at
that
the
were in
moment.
place, as far as not talking about the case or researching
Oh.
anything, are are done, you're welcome to talk to whomever you would like or not talk to whomever you'd like about it. And I will come back there shortly to bring you your letters. And yes.
Yep, they did the best
I don't have an
with what they had.
Okay.
Your Honor, but we're working.
Okay, all right. Well, let's see what we can arrange. I'd like for both sides to be able to have their folks present. So, all right, you all are free to go back to the jury room, and I'll come back there shortly with your letters. Thank you again for your service.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Yeah, it's a little nauseating, but I mean, it's been 23 years. How sad is that?
All right. How many witnesses and who do you anticipate calling or bringing in for the sentencing?
Potentially your partner.
Okay, so you don't know if that's even going to happen.
We haven't committed to that, Your Honor. I'd like to speak.
Okay. Can you reach out to that individual now?
Potentially, Your Honor. We would like to, she's still facing the felony charge here.
Yeah.
We would like to have some time to focus on our sentencing before we present it to the court. So we are asking.
Okay. All right.
We're happy if the court wants to hear from Mr. Hamilton today and split that up. That's fine with us.
Okay. All right. Well, let's wait and see what Mr. Hamilton says about his ability to be here, and I'd like to maybe try to do it.
Yeah,
on
that's
Friday.
very true.
I don't want to put it off too long.
It's
If that's
very, very
workable
true
for him as well as for your witness. So, all right, then, Madam Clerk.
So sentencing.
All right,
So
while we're
that's a
waiting
felony?
to schedule this, is there anything else that we need to address?
No.
Okay. All right. Hang tight, and I'll give you all a few minutes, and I'll come back, okay?
All right.
Well, 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 well. Yeah, it's still like, I mean, we feel for that little baby, right? Well, I mean, in my mind, a 7-year-old or a 6-year-old is still a baby. Okay, so it sounds like we'll be waiting for sentencing as the next step, and it sounds like he has people to bring up, but I don't think it's going to be today. So what I'll do, and if it is, I will either put it out in a video or I will try and pop on for a live. But hey, there's a resolution. May that little guy rest in peace. I'm not comfortable with the way it ended, but they probably did do the proper thing. You know, you let your emotions get in there, and that's understandable because it's not something most of us moms would do. But with that said, that's that. So guys, thanks for hanging out with me. It's been a long morning. Keep your eye out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Hit that bell, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.